You're not dreaming, football fans. Welcome into NFL Daily here by Chat Sports. And if you clicked on to this live video, yes, it is true. For the very first time ever at our company's existence, we are doing a full 3-round live mock draft. I can't stress that enough. It's mock. These are our picks. So we've got multiple hosts right now, almost every single one of them actually, that are live on their respective channels. So here's how it's going to work. Every single host will get 60 seconds starting at 1:15 to put their picks in. Then the next host gets it lined up after we all figure out who the pick is. And I'm basically Roger Goodell today. Call me Moose Goodell. I'm just going to be giving you insight, analysis, and announcing some picks as they come in. The first full 3 rounds. Woo! Cannot wait for it. But before we get started, let's shout out your city, guys. Let's go. Where are you watching from today? Middle of the day on a Thursday. I got Jake Chipper on the 1s and 2s. What up, Chip?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, baby. Let's get it.
Woo!
I'm excited. First time we've ever done this. Now, good question from the Elite. Are trades allowed? No trades.
No trades
So
today.
there will be no trades in this mock draft. But, look, we're all juiced up in the office. Again, first time we're doing this. And with all these hosts, all these channels, we finally get to come together and kind of see what everybody would do in the draft. It's going to be fun hanging out with y'all, seeing your reactions to these picks, who you think should go where and everything. So let's get it started. Get in that chat, baby.
Let's go. Let's go. Love that. Now, we do have every single host acting as their sort of GM for the day. So not necessarily what the actual team would do. For example, at 8, we don't have a Carolina Panthers host, but let's call it 9. At 9, the Saints pick, our host Trace Gerard is going to be making a pick that he believes would be in the best interest of the Saints or what is the best interest for him. So it doesn't necessarily matter how you pick. We're going to be reacting to every single pick as they come in the very first time we've ever done it. So shout out those cities. I'm going to be reading some right now. Epic says Canton, Ohio. Where the Football Hall of Fame is? Yeah, that's right, exactly right. Virginia Beach from Renz Major. Austin Johnson says Weatherford, Texas. I love Texas. Reading, Pennsylvania says Bigsby. Keep shouting out those cities, guys. Phoenix, spelled with an F. It's the first time I've seen that. Phoenix. Philly, Pennsylvania. Oh, go Birds, dude. Go Birds. We said, I'm sorry to hear that, but because he's from Philly. That's funny. That's funny.
What's wrong with Philly, man? What's wrong with Philly?
Nothing wrong with Philly. Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles.
You better say that.
You better put that respect on the name. All right, coming up on today's show, by the way, we do have, like I said, this live mock draft that we're going to be getting into here in just about 12 minutes. But then right after, stick around. Do not go anywhere. We're going to be getting into an NFL mailbag where basically the only thing that you have to do is use hashtag NFL to get your questions in, and we will answer them. Jake's going to pick Jake, I feel it's weird calling you that. Chip is going to pick his favorite questions, put them up on screen, and I'm going to answer them for you. And if you are just joining us, welcome into the 3-round mock draft live here at Chat Sports. First time we've ever done something like this. And you could just call me Moose Goodell. That's who I am today. The boos will rain down today. Oh, yeah. Boo Moose in the chat. I love that. Felton's from New Orleans, Louisiana. What's going on? Make sure you also tune in, if you feel like it, to our Saints Now channel hosted by Trace Gerard. Joseph Langford says, home of the reigning, defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. He's throwing extra adjectives in there. Soon to be 2-time is crazy work. Casper, our first international viewer from Denmark. What's up, Casper? Great to see you. Thanks for coming on in. And if you guys do feel so inclined to Super Chat today, we will gladly accept anything that you send to us. Here's what our Super Chat menu looks like. $2 beer cheers with some happy dads. No free ads, but some few free dads. $5, we're going to talk about your NFL team. $10, I'm going to throw out my impressions, okay? I'm telling you right now, I'm going to do it for you, just like you wanted it, okay? We call it a combo. Don't call it a combo comeback, okay? And then $50, Chip and I think I'll include Chip on this. What do you think, Chip? You'll rip a beer bong with me for a $50 super chat?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. So, again, hey, this is my first time ever doing something like this. And if I want to go live for the real draft, which, by the way, next Thursday, tune into every single Chat Sports channel that we have to make sure that your favorite team is being covered off. If I want to prove that I can hang with the big boys and go live, I need to do as well as I can in both likes, subscribers, and super chats. The bosses were like, we have given you, because of your hard work, an opportunity to get and do this live mock draft. We're not entirely sure yet about the real thing. So, if you are ready for a 3-round mock draft, like today's video, smash that thumbs up. We have 50 people watching right now. This needs to get to at least 50%. We need 25 likes. I want to see every single person hit that thumbs up button right now. Less than 10 minutes away. Chip, I cannot tell you, when I woke up this morning, there was something different in the air. Hey, we got our first $10 super chat. Mr. Frank O'Connor. We'll get you on screen here in just a second, my friend. But first, I do want to give a major shout out to today's sponsor, and that is Game Time. Game Time makes getting tickets so unbelievably easy. All you have to do is go to your app store right now, click that download button, and get Game Time, making getting tickets faster and easier, and for even hard to get playoff seats like the NBA playoffs, which is just starting right now. So if you want to go watch your favorite NBA team, do it with Game Time. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA playoff tickets. You can save up right now to 60% off buying last minutes for sports concerts, comedy, and theater events. I love to go to a good comedy event with my fiance. It's something that we like to do together, and we also like to check out restaurants around the Dallas area. There is the Dallas Comedy Club that we like to go to. So I use Game Time when I want to go and use my events and get my tickets for those. So terms do apply. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. That's CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Mr. Frank O'Connor, I remember asking Dolphins today if we could do this. Let's hear the impressions. All right. I kind of gave you the Trump one a little bit. I'll do it one more time just for shits and giggles.
You can't just tease him. Got to give him the full thing.
No, I would never tease you like that. I don't frankly want to tease you. I am the greatest president of all time. This is going to be the greatest mock draft ever. All the correct picks from me. No booing, please. Thank you. Let's see. I'll do one more. I'll do a Kermit the Frog. I've been trying to work on my Kermit.
Okay.
Kermit the Frog here. Miss Piggy, we're about to do our 3-round mock draft on Chat Sports.
You could have been an impressionist if you weren't doing this.
That's BS. That's a solid C+.
Who do you think does the better impressions now, you or Tex? Because Tex is a big impression guy as well.
So there is a common person in this office that we like to do an impression of.
Yes, of course. I'm aware.
And I will tell you this. He does a very good this person.
He does.
He does a great one of those. So I will not take that away from him. However, I would say that out of the full scope of impressions that we do, I would think mine are a little bit better. That's just me tooting my own horn a little bit.
Hey, that's fair. I like the confidence. I like the confidence.
That's like a full Philly statement right there. We're the best in the league, dude. Go Birds. Your team sucks.
Oh, that's good stuff.
I got to work on a Philly accent. That'll be my next one. All right, here's a question I want to ask you guys. Who is a sleeper in your draft this year? So this could be a sleeper in round 1 all the way to round 7. Chip, I want to hear your answer too because I feel like you know ball. And I'm going to say my answer. Actually, I'll give you one of my two because one of the other guys we're going to be talking about a little bit later on in the show. But I'm going to say Tyler Booker is one of my sleepers, guard out of Alabama. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him because he plays guard, and tackle is such a coveted position now, especially in 2025. It's more of a the passing league where left tackle is the most important. I think you're going to be looking at a kid that's going to be an all-pro for the next 6 or 7 years. So Tyler Booker, guard from Alabama, single-handedly helped Jalen Career's rushing attack at Alabama as a quarterback. So I'm all in on Tyler Booker.
I like that pick. That's a great pick, man. I agree. I think he's going to be a good player. he had a bad combine performance, right? And that's why people started to sour on him a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. But you turn on the tape, man, the combine's a little bit overrated at certain positions. And, got to take everything into consideration. I think for me, someone that I really over the past, I'd say week or so, have grown on, and shout out to Matthew Peterson and Joey Peterson here at Chat Sports for filling me in. But Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee, the defensive lineman, I've been really liking his game a lot. It's a very deep defensive line class. Got a lot of good guys to the top. And, out of Tennessee, a lot of people are talking about James Pierce. Where is he going to go? Some of his maybe character concerns. I don't want to speculate too much. But Omar Norman Lott, a great pass rusher out of the interior, and a guy that I think, for me, I'd take him in the second round.
Ooh, now see, that's crazy. A lot of people have him at the end of the third.
Yeah, I would take him if I'm
mid-second,
mid to back end. Not an early second round pick, certainly not first round pick, of course. But if I'm in the back end of the second round, and I'm a team in need of that position, he might be my pick.
So let me ask you this then: if you're going with a Tennessee defensive tackle, if you're on the clock and you're NFL GM, and James Pierce Jr. has slid down, and you have the opportunity in that middle second to late second to take, I don't think he'll fall that far, but you take one of those two, James Pierce Jr. or Omar Norman Lott, who are you taking?
I'm a big fan of James Pierce Jr. as well, and I think he should rightfully go in the first round. I think if he falls to, back end of the first or early second, a team is going to be getting a pretty big steal. I do like his game, his production, his athleticism. I think he's quick off the edge. I think teams, I think it depends on the team, right? Sometimes if you're a team who doesn't have a good infrastructure in place and a good culture in place, you got to have the right situation for a guy who, people are talking about, character concerns and things like that. And I think there was some minor legal trouble he might have gotten into. But look, at the end of the day, if he can play, he can play. And it's all how good do you feel about your coaching staff? But I would take him. I would take him in the first round, back end to the middle back end of the first round if I was a GM.
Chip nose ball, guys. Chip nose ball. We did get another super chat that we'll get here in just a second before we start up. 3 minutes away. 3 minutes away from the very first live mock draft here on Chat Sports. Remember, the actual NFL draft starts at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time, I believe, next Thursday. Rebel Montana. I wonder if the host drinks Dr. Pepper. Okay, so funny enough, the reason that got posted yesterday was because I posted a photo in one of our group chats of one of the hosts here at Chat Sports drinking a Dr. Pepper, and that sparked a whole ton of memories about Dr. Pepper Gate. So it's funny. I do like Dr. Pepper. I actually had one last night from McDonald's. You have to have the Dr. Pepper and a Big Mac. It's like the most elite combo of all time.
I'm not a Dr. Pepper guy personally.
Oh!
And that's why I won.
Chip!
That's how I won. I wasn't the culprit because I've never in my life had a sip of a Dr. Pepper. I'm not a soda guy in general.
Well, look at you. You're all about health. Health is wealth in 2025.
All about health.
All about health. All right, if you are ready for this mock draft to start, spam go right now. We've got 60 people watching. Here we go. Spam go, guys. Let's do it. Let's get ready for this mock draft. There we go. Renz Magia says go.
Let's go, baby.
Austin, a very loyal Chat Sports viewer, Austin Johnson says go.
Shout out.
Oh, he's awesome. He used to join every single week on Sundays and join me for our little NFL whip around coverage. Every week he was there supporting. Appreciate you, Austin. Everybody keep getting those goes going. Tony says go. John says go. Epic Jet says go. Geronimo says go. Keep it going, guys.
Come on, keep spamming it.
Keep spamming. I want to see as many goes as possible. Mark, there we go, bub. He says go. We are 1 minute away. We are 1 minute away. John again says go. I love it, you guys. I love it. Go Fins, says Steve. Hey, whatever your team is, spam it. And we are off. The 2025 Chat Sports NFL Mock Draft is officially underway with the Tennessee Titans on the clock.
Let's go.
This should not take too long.
No, should be easy.
The first pick is in. And with the first selection in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami. Resetting the franchise, the Will Levis experiment officially over. Cam Ward brings a new era of athleticism, of arm strength, of nonchalance, of productivity in college football. It was clear after his pro day that he was by far and away the number one option for the Tennessee Titans. Borgonzi loved him. His future teammates love him. He was on Twitch the other night doing a little like Fortnite game stream where he listed off his favorite receivers in the NFL. Every single one of them played for the Titans.
That was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
But I respect it.
So, with our first pick in the NFL mock draft live here at Chat Sports, Cam Ward is officially off the board. Now, a little bit more about Cam Ward's last season. I mean, productivity was by far and away so unbelievable from him, right? Like 4,300 passing yards, 43 total touchdowns, 7 picks. I mean, anytime you throw for more than 3,500 yards in a collegiate football season, you can sling it. He hit over 4,000 and was closer to 4,500. So I'm all in on Cam Ward. I think this is a great pick for the Titans. Welcome to Tennessee in this year's mock draft, or first ever mock draft. You are officially a Tennessee Titan, Mr. Ward. Now, the Cleveland Browns on the clock with pick number 2. The pick is coming in. Here we go.
Who's it gonna be?
Who's it gonna be?
It's in.
The second pick is in. The Cleveland Browns select Travis Hunter, cornerback / wide receiver out of Colorado. The Heisman winner in 2024. One of the most durable and athletic players the draft and this league will ever see. An unbelievable prospect, plays both sides of the football, believes that he can do it both successfully at the next level. He's got elite ball skills, incredible feet. He's awesome in zone coverage. And on the offensive side of the ball, he understands positioning at the cornerback level so that on his breaks, he knows exactly where the cornerback is going to break. It's going to lean in, and he's going to do the exact opposite. I love Travis Hunter as both a cornerback prospect and a wide receiver one. So, with the second overall pick, Travis Hunter gets selected by the Cleveland Browns. Now, this is kind of funny, Chip. Our Browns host, Mr. Matthew Peterson, was not necessarily the highest on Travis Hunter. In fact, a lot of people believe that he might have taken Abdul Carter with the second overall pick. That's not what happened. He went with the best skill player available.
Yep. Look, Travis Hunter, whether he plays receiver or corner, it's been out there that Browns GM Andrew Berry views him more as a receiver first, and then secondarily as a corner. Called him the Shohei Ohtani, kind of the NFL. I'm just so intrigued to see if he can really do it both ways. He, of course, has maintained that he absolutely wants to play both ways in the NFL. Of course, it's a whole different ballgame, even though he did it in college. Similar snaps per game, of course. In fact, I think you play more snaps per game in college, but you have extra games in the NFL. Just more wear and tear, more physicality as a whole. But look, some people throughout the draft process, not going to say have hated on Travis Hunter, but have kind of shied away from him being one of the top 2 or 3 prospects in this draft, saying that he's not a top receiver, or at least he's not the top receiver, and he's not the top corner.
Right.
I disagree. I think he is both the best receiver and the best corner in this draft. Not everyone's going to agree with that, but wherever the Browns deploy him, theoretically, if this does happen, of course, I think it's a great pick.
I love it too. Now, the third pick is also in as we are talking about Travis Hunter. The New York Football Giants, old Big Blue, have selected Abdul Carter, edge out of Penn State. We kind of figured this was going to be the pick, right?
Yep.
If Travis Hunter's not available at 3, you got to go with the number 1 edge rusher, Micah Parsons 2.0. This dude is Hollywood. He's strong. He's nimble. He's got moves. I thought that if the Browns were going to take him, this would be an unbelievable combo with him and Myles Garrett. However, didn't fall, so Kayvon Thibodeau gets his new running mate, and in 2024, Abdul Carter was a stud. We saw it down the stretch of the 2024 college football playoff, and it was just smooth sailing when it came to his game. Everything about him is buttery smooth. He's got the strength. He's got the speed. He's going to be an all-pro in this league. Mark it down. I'm telling you, Abdul Carter, welcome in this round, or in this mock draft at least, to the New York Football Giants. Now, with that being said, the 4th pick is now in.
They're flying
They
off the board.
are flying off the board, says Chipper. The New England Patriots were on the clock, but the pick is in. They select Will Campbell, offensive lineman, or offensive tackle, I should say, left tackle out of LSU. A lot of people speculating if Will Campbell is going to have to be flipped inside to guard because of those short arms, right? Everyone's talking about the reach. No pun intended. I don't think that's a reach. There are some concerns about his ability to kind of extend his arms and use his leverage inside to block other opponents. But with that being said, there is not a single offensive line prospect in this draft that is better than Will Campbell. You can take my word for it. He's actually better in pass blocking because of how nimble he is on his feet. He can move left to right with that lateral quickness better than anybody in this draft. So I love Will Campbell coming in at number 4. We have wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I read that incorrectly. I was like, did I get that wrong?
No, they messed it up, yeah.
I cannot believe what just came in at number 5.
This is a shock, baby!
This is a shock, and this is why we do what we do. With the 5th pick in the 2025 Chat Sports Mock Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. Pandemonium!
Woo!
A little bit about Tyler Warren. Easily the best tight end prospect in this one. He plays both sides. He can block and play that stereotypical hand-on-the-ground tight end position, but he can also line up in the slot. And they actually kind of ran this hybrid play where he would take a direct snap. It was like a tight end direct snap. He's athletic and nimble enough to actually kind of command a little bit more speed, and that's why I think a lot of NFL teams should be salivating, at least the Jags were in this one, about him as a prospect. So I loved his production last year. Over 100 receptions, 1,200 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns, and a trip to the college football semifinal. Wild stuff. The Jaguars selected Tyler Warren at number 5 overall, which means Mason Graham, who all the other NFL analysts have been projecting to go to Jacksonville, is still on the board. Like this video, like this stream right now, if you're already loving this mock draft,
man,
I know I am.
This is exciting, man. It's moving fast, obviously a lot faster than the actual NFL draft. Look, Tyler Warren going here is a shock. Great player, and to be fair, we don't have a Jags host, but man, going number 5.
It's wild.
I get, they moved off Evan Engram, and you want to get more weapons for Trevor Lawrence, who a lot of people are down on. I went to Clemson, so I'm a little biased. I think he can still be one of the top quarterbacks in this league. So you get a huge, huge weapon for him. That roster, though, still has a lot of other holes, but he's going to be a scary weapon. He would be a scary weapon. Look, I'm talking like it's the NFL draft.
Yeah, right, exactly. He's going to be a scary weapon for the Jags.
He would be for Jacksonville.
I love it. Yes, he totally would. All right, so the 6th pick is in. Mitchell Renz and the Raiders report have decided that they're going to go the safe route I call this, and select Heisman runner-up Ashton Jeanty, running back from Boise State. Have we seen a running back in college football other than Barry Sanders put up these kinds of numbers in a singular season? I don't think so. This is ridiculous. 2,600 yards, basically 30 touchdowns.
Nuts.
I mean, it felt like every single game he was busting one for over 50, right? Every single time. Running back is not, or at least it wasn't, the most coveted position in the NFL. With Jeanty, it feels like it's returning to that, especially after what we saw Saquon Barkley do for the Birds last year. So I love this pick for the Raiders. I think this adds an extra dimension to now a Geno Smith-led team at quarterback. I think Jeanty's going to have a phenomenal NFL career. All right, number 7 is in. The Jets, no surprise here, go out. They get Justin Fields in free agency. They select Armin Membu, offensive tackle out of Missouri. About a month ago, Membu was not even to be considered really a first rounder. In fact, I thought I saw him at the beginning of the second round, but he did great at the combine. They loved his answers at media day. I think this kid is awesome. He rocketed up these draft boards, so much so that everybody has him going to the Jets at number 7. He's got an unbelievable performance grade from last year's 2024 PFF grades, 90 overall. He's great against the run. He's great against the pass. I love this pick for the Jets. Protecting Justin Fields, resetting everything with new head coach Aaron Glenn. He's got great feet. He's got great hands. Armin Membu, you're a New York Jet. Okay. Now, before we take a brief pause, the 8th pick is officially in, and this kind of feels like nobody's shock, right? Mason Graham, who was supposed to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars, actually slides now to Carolina. Carolina, I feel like, probably should go offense in this scenario. However, adding a player like Mason Graham is 100% a cannot-miss prospect. He's one of the best defensive linemen, one of the most for sure things that we've seen in this year's draft. Played for a championship-winning Michigan Wolverines team. He's not the greatest in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback, but he's more of a run stopper. Now, with that being said, he does possess the capabilities and the moves to get after the quarterback. So I think Mason Graham is going to be an excellent fit, at least in this case, if he ends up in Carolina, because he is so much of a sure thing. Now let's recap all of the picks that have happened so far. Cam Ward, nobody's shocked there. Travis Hunter at 2 to the Browns. Abdul Carter goes number 3 to the Giants. Will Campbell, number 4 to the Patriots. Then Tyler Warren coming in at number 5. Ashton Genty to the Raiders at 6. Armin Membu to the Jets at 7. And Mason Graham to the Carolina Panthers. Chip, thoughts already on the pandemonium that we have seen in this mock draft so far?
Yeah, look, top 4, pretty chalk in my opinion.
Yep.
And then, honestly, like 5, 6, well, 6 and 7 at least, I think pretty chalk as well. Could easily see those being the picks come draft night. But Warren going 5, allowing Mason Graham to slide down to 8 to Carolina.
Sure.
Very, very surprising. If this were to happen, Carolina would be running this pick up to the board. I even think a team like the Jets should consider Mason Graham at number 7 if he is available, but I understand the need going tackle there. And now we're up to a very, very interesting selection with the Saints on the clock and go a lot of different ways, a lot of good players still on the board. We can take a look at our top players that are still available here.
Yeah. And
still some good players.
And look, every single mock that I have seen has got Jalen Walker going to the Carolina Panthers. Now, with that being said, anything can happen on draft night. I mean, the Bears in 2017 drafted Mitch Trubisky number 2 overall, and they traded up to get him. So anything is possible. I love, out of this list right here, I think Jihad Campbell, who is not projected to go until later on in the first round, I think teams are sleeping on this kid. He has not only the ability to cover the middle of the field as a traditional linebacker, middle linebacker, he can get after the quarterback as well. He plays that hybrid role really, really well. I love him as a prospect. Whoop, here we go. Lost the stream for a second. Here we go. Let's get it back. There we go. And then guys like Ted McMillan, I'm not nearly as high on. I think he should slide down.
Oh,
yeah, I'm not a huge Ted McMillan guy.
I am a Ted McMillan fan, but I can see why people are lower on him. I think he just has it all as to profile as the number 1 receiver.
Jake Chipper, the 9th
man.
pick is in. And you will not believe who Trizzy Trace Gerard has picked. With the 9th overall pick, the Saints select Shedeur Sanders, quarterback from Colorado. Shedorlins in this mock draft is a thing. New head coach Kellen Moore coming over from Philadelphia. Won a Super Bowl as the offensive coordinator. I think Chip could tell you this as well. Kellen Moore got a great creative young offensive mind. Someone that he needs to deliver the football kind of like a point guard. Derek Carr did this really well for a long time. Brock Purdy does this really well. That's the kind of game I think Shedeur needs to model his after as he gets into the NFL. Make a living inside the pocket. Don't try to do too many things outside of it. Live and die with your easy layup passes. And then when you need to be amazing, go do it. The Saints take Shedeur Sanders, who had an unbelievable last season with Colorado, completely reshaped the scope of that entire football program, and he goes number 9 to the New Orleans Saints. Do we have number 10? We do have number 10. We have
number 10.
We have number 10 in. The Chicago Bears were on the clock, and the Bears now have taken Mike Green Edge rusher out of Marshall. Is there a single player in the entire landscape of college football that put up video game numbers quite like Mike Green? I don't think it's true. I mean, you look at this type of stuff, it looks like something you do in NCAA football 2025. 23 tackles for loss, 59 pressures, and 17 sacks. Let that sink in for a second. This kid is dynamite. He's got the exact measurements of a Khalil Mack, but the speed of someone kind of like, who's a really quick edge rusher in this league? Micah Parsons is really fast, for example. So he's got the speed of a Micah, but the power of a Khalil Mack. Now, I think the one criticism that everybody has of him is not only his off-the-field issues, but is he able to do it at the highest level because he played at Marshall? And Marshall does not play against great competition. So I think Mike Green, he's my favorite player in this draft. If the Bears landed him, I think I might streak around the office. I'm not even going to lie to you. I think I'd be that happy. So I love this pick for the Bears. I talked a little bit to Harrison Graham, our Bears host, this morning, and I said, is there a world in which today you take Mike Green? And he said, it's completely possible. So, Mr. Chip, you are on the clock for the San Francisco 49ers, filling in for Mr. Chase Sr. Who is your pick?
So look, I really wanted Mike Green. That was the guy I was looking to go after. That D-line over there in San Francisco really needs a lot of help. So I had to pivot here. And looking at the players that I had on the board, I saw someone sitting here that I thought would be gone by now. So I wasn't really considering him. I wanted to go O-line as well. A little too early for me to go Kelvin Banks. So I decided to go with the hybrid linebacker edge rusher out of Georgia, Jalen Walker.
That dude is a mammoth of a human being. Just look at that.
I mean, come on. Look at him, man.
6'1", 250 basically is what you're telling me. And again, another player that incredible production, probably the most for sure edge rusher outside of Abdul Carter in this draft. Right? Like, if Abdul's one, Jalen Carter is number two. And, again, a guy that can do both things. He can stop the run. He can get to the quarterback. He has every single trick in the book. His bag is deep. I love this pick for the San Francisco 49ers, especially after all of the different moves that you needed to make after you lost all those players in free agency. I think this is a great step in the right direction. Cowboys are on the clock, coming in at number 12. And the pick is already in. The Cowboys, oh boy. Tet McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. All right, I'm going to try to defend Mr. Tom Downey here. They need weapons like you wouldn't believe. Mm-hmm. So the Cowboys, to pair outside of CeeDee Lamb, they don't have much. So I think understanding that they need to get a weapon that has at least the potential to be a number one wide receiver, I think that's why they make this pick. Now, with that being said, he's got all of the measurements you like, 6'4", 215 pounds. But the one thing that I feel like everybody is kind of making him slide on is that he kind of plateaued his senior season. He didn't get better. In fact, his numbers in 2024 got slightly worse. Now, you could say, hey, that's all to do with the quarterback situation at Arizona and their program suffered. But these numbers are still really, really great. I just think that if you're a wide receiver prospect, I want to see every single year you get better and better and better. And I just didn't see that. So I think he's going to be a good NFL player. I don't think he's worthy of going top 15.
And you know what? Out of all the landing spots, it's a good spot because there's no pressure for him to be a number one right out of the gates. And honestly, even down the line with CeeDee Lamb there, he doesn't have to be that number one. He could be that, 1B kind of player, that number two on the outside. The best guy is going to go on CeeDee Lamb. And if he's going up against your second best corner, I think he will dominate those matchups. So, look, Dallas, whether they go this route or not, we'll see. But I think a good pick for where they are right now in their situation.
I think so, too. The 13th pick is in this year's draft in round one. The Miami Dolphins select quarterback out of Michigan, Will Johnson. Will Johnson was the most highly touted cornerback in this year's draft. He has slid on my board since because of how much I love Jahdae Barron and Maxwell Hairston. Now, with that being said, he's still a really good player. I think this is the most plug-and-play ready corner in this year's draft. Like day one, he's going to be an immediate starter that's going to give you decent to slightly above mid production. I don't think he's ever an all-pro. I think he's one of those, like, he's going to be a starter in this league for the next 10 years, barring any major injuries. So Will Johnson to pair outside of a Jalen Ramsey, who kind of been sparking some trade rumors recently. Maybe this is now their cornerback one. I don't know. But Nick Roloff, Dolphins Today host, comes in with Will Johnson.
I like the pick there, man, especially if they are going to end up trading Jalen Ramsey, a guy that dealt with injuries this past year, concerns about his long speed, didn't run the 40, and that's where the biggest question marks are. So some of those questions not quite fulfilled for a lot of scouts, but has a lot of talent, has a lot of big playmaking ability going after the ball, and when he does go after that ball, get the interception, high chance he takes it back to the crib. Certainly has that upside, but again, he has to answer those questions of if he can compete with other guys in the NFL level at that top speed. But here at, pick number 13, I think good selection for the Dolphins. I could see this happening on draft night.
All right, now we're going to breeze through the Colts here because we do not have a Colts host. It has been simulated that Jihad Campbell, love this pick, goes to the Colts. Middle of the field linebacker, but also can duel as that pass rushing threat. 117 tackles does not lie, especially at the University of Alabama. He's a monster of a player. Love the pick for the Colts. Coming in at number 15, the Atlanta Falcons are on the clock, and they select Nicky Manwari, safety out of South Carolina. Another dual threat player who can kind of double as not only a strong safety, but as a linebacker. Has the size and the strength to kind of move up and play an outside linebacker position. But that being said, he can play any position. He's not great at everything. Or, I'm sorry, he's not great at anything. He's just really good at everything. That's how you say that. His 2024 season stats speak for themselves. Again, all over the field, these are very solid numbers. I think you're drafting him on what he could be rather than what he produced over at South Carolina. All right, pick number 16. We're back up to speed here. The Cardinals are at 16. They are also being simulated. We do not have a Cardinals host, at least not yet. Before we get into that, make sure you like the video right now. I want to see at least 70 likes before we get to the end of round one. Can we make that happen? Can we make it happen? 70 likes. And subscribe if you haven't for more NFL draft coverage. I will make sure that you get all of the best stuff that you want right here on Chat Sports. God willing, I'm still here when that time comes. For every draft that we do, including stuff like this. We are waiting on the 16th pick right now. Hold on. Here we go.
Here we are.
Pick number 16 is in. Wow. Interesting selection here. Edge rusher seems to be going off the boards like crazy recently, Chip. Donovan Ezeraku, edge out of Boston College. Another player who is kind of mocked to be going late first, early second, but it looks like the Cardinals saw everything they needed to see. Now, at Boston College last year, he was amazing. 16 and a half sacks, 21 tackles for loss, got 60 pressures. This is another guy, kind of like Mike Green. When he's on the field, man, he's a feat to be reckoned with. However, I think, again, playing in the lower ACC, kind of like that, where football has kind of been not its best as it has been in recent years, I still think that he has a lot of growing to do. He doesn't have the speed that I necessarily am looking for. With that being said, though, he's a bulldozer, can run right over you. Pick at 16, Donovan Ezeraku for the Cardinals. All right, the Bengals coming in at number 17. I love this pick. Jahdae Barron, cornerback out of Texas. Unbelievable combine. Ran a 4.3 40. This dude is lightning fast. Elite zone coverage skills. My cornerback one in this draft. Saw him at the college football playoff last year. Was excellent. Had great interview questions and answers over at the combine. I love everything about him. I love everything about his character. I love everything about his play on the field. He's got the speed to keep up with the faster receivers and the strength to not get bodied off the offensive line. Love this pick for the Bengals, who need as much help as possible on the defensive side of the football. Coming in at number 17. The Seattle Seahawks select Colston Loveland. I'm surprised that Tyler Jones didn't go with an offensive lineman here, considering how bad it is.
Yeah, a bit of a shock.
And Colston Loveland, not a blocking tight end, more of a slot tight end guy, a little bit thinner, plays a little bit smaller than you would like. However, with that being said, he's got great hands, and 6'5", 250 pounds, even though he plays a little bit smaller, he's got the size you're looking for. It's going to be a lot of teams that are trying to cover this kid. And again, bad situation at quarterback last year for Michigan. So his numbers don't necessarily back up how good of a player he is. I think you're going to see one of these like, oh, I didn't realize how good he was, and now I'm looking at him in the NFL, and he's unbelievable. So Colson Loveland, tight end from Michigan, goes to the Seahawks to pair with new quarterback Sam Darnold. Okay, number 19, the Buccaneers. Shamar Stewart. Now, I'm low on Shamar Stewart. He, to me at least, is not a first-round player. I watched a lot of Texas A&M football. My brother goes there. I can tell you, he disappears in games.
Yeah.
He's just one of those players that, like, when he's on, he's great. But every 2 or 3 games, he's gone. Like, you barely see him on the field. Now, is that enough to say we don't want to take him in the first round? Probably not. He'll probably end up going in the first round. But with that being said, he's got all the tangibles that you want. He's got the intangibles. He's a good kid, got some great talent. I just don't like it because of that disappearance factor. Like, I can't draft a guy at 19 and be like, oh, every 4th game you have no tackles.
Yeah, serious lack of production. 4.5 sacks in his entire college career across 3 seasons. 1.5 sacks every year. At some point, even if you have the tools and you have the size, the speed, the length, the athleticism, at some point it has to turn into production. Certainly could happen in the NFL with NFL coaching staffs and their programs, but taking a big risk for somebody who just has not really been able to show it, even at the college level. So, bit of a reach, I think, as well for the Buccaneers.
Absolutely. The 20th pick is in, and this is a lovely pick. The Denver Broncos select Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina, running back. If not for Ashton Genty, just get him out of your mind for a second. Omarion Hampton is one of the best running back prospects the draft has seen in quite some time. It just so happens he has to be going in the same draft as the kid that went all over the fields and went bananas. Omarion Hampton's got great hands. He's got great size. He's got great speed. He's got great hesitation when he needs to. He can hit his holes just with severe force, giggity, no pun intended. And I love this pick for the Broncos. I think because of how bad their running situation was last year in the running back room, he makes the most sense at 20. Pick number 21 is in. Derek Harmon for the Steelers, who I think we got some news today about Aaron Rodgers. Kind of sounds like he's trending towards retirement. I can't believe they didn't go quarterback here.
Yeah. Jackson Dart still on there. There's been reports he won't fall out of the first round, but Derek Harmon going over someone like Walter Nolan, certainly a different type of player here for Pittsburgh. But, Jack Sperry does his due diligence with his draft research over there, host of our Steelers channel. So a very Jack Sperry kind of pick here.
Jack Sperry kind of pick is absolutely right. I love Derek Harmon. Middle of the field guy, stops the run at an elite level, big body, defensive tackle. I think he's going to be great for the next years to come. Number 22, the Chargers being simulated. They take Kenneth Grant, another big-bodied player who has some elite speed for a guy his size. 6'3", 330 pounds. That's a big boy right there.
Oh, yeah.
He's moving around like a refrigerator. But I love Kenneth Grant. Again, another winning player, transferred from Michigan State over to Michigan, was a part of that 2023 national championship team. Love everything about Kenneth Grant. Over the middle, stop the run, get to the quarterback. He's got some moves to do it. He's going to be a great player as well. I saw a lot of people saying that, again, another guy that kind of disappears a little bit, maybe not to the extent of a Shamar Stewart. However, I think Kenneth Grant is a great pick, especially for a team like Jim Harbaugh runs, where all they want to do is attack the line.
Makes a lot of sense for what they need. Obviously, the Michigan connections there with Harbaugh and some other Michigan coaches on the staff. And, as you mentioned, can disappear a little bit. Played on a very talented defensive line with Mason Graham, with Josiah Stewart, but a very good player in his own right. And this has also been a very, very common pick in a lot of mock drafts. So no surprise here that even in the simulation, the Chargers end up going Kenneth Grant. So a couple of interior defensive linemen going here on the board with the Packers now on the clock.
Yes, they are. Now, the Packers definitely need wide receiver, and they need cornerback like nobody's business because Jair Alexander, most likely outski. And with the 23rd pick in the NFL draft, of course, Luther Burden III, wide receiver from Missouri. Another player that at the beginning of the year of the football year, everyone was saying this guy was a solidified number one wide receiver on everybody's board. It wasn't even close. Since then, 2, 3 on some of them. Didn't have the greatest senior season. However, another really talented kid, this time out of Missouri, played in the SEC, 6 foot, 206 pounds, got some size to him, which you love to see. But the 61 receptions is a little bit low for my taste. Again, quarterback means everything in college football, so I'm not too pressed about this. They add another big-time wide receiver to add to that wide receiver by committee in Green Bay. At 24, Malachi Starks. Safety out of Georgia goes to the Vikings. The Vikings only have 4 draft picks, and safety is actually one of the picks that they need to address that, and cornerback, even after locking up Byron Murphy. I like this pick a lot. Another solidified, really good safety pick. Over the middle of the field, plays kind of like a center field position. Does Malachi Starks, speed, athleticism, a willing tackler, not afraid of anybody, not afraid to square up a receiver or a tight end. Again, is he the best tackler? No. But I also think for, the trend of the NFL in 2025 where it's more of a coverage league rather than a hard-hitting league, I think this is a really good pick for whoever gets Malachi Starks. In this case, it's the Vikings.
A lot of good players still available. Walter Nolan sliding down the board a little bit, although kind of expected in a lot of drafts. I'm a big fan of Mykel Williams, who got injured in the first game of the year against Clemson. Some people saying it was a dirty play. I'm not going to go that far. But a very, very talented edge rusher who, didn't have the numbers you want to see this last year. But again, he was dealing with an injury, an ankle injury, pretty much all year. If I was a team who needed an edge rusher at this point, looking at some of the picks that have happened so far, if I'm Tampa Bay, I definitely would have taken Mykel Williams over Shamar Stewart. Even teams like the Cardinals going with Ezeraku there, I'm going to go Mykel Williams. Kelvin Banks sliding a little bit here as well. A lot of questions where he ends up playing on the line. Is he a guard? Is he a tackle? I was considering Kelvin Banks at 11 when I was picking for the Niners, but obviously ended up going in a different direction. So a lot of talented players here still available as we reach the end of the first round.
I want to call out a fan right now. First of all, Ty Man the Buckeye, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Austin Johnson, is he in the draft room right now? Because he went out and just said, Golden to the Texans, if he's there, and at number 24, it is the 25, at pick 25, Matthew Golden gets selected to the Houston Texans. Everybody spam Austin in the chat right now. Dude is clairvoyant. He's got the crystal ball. Hell of a pick there from Austin Johnson. But Jeremy Chuggs, the Houston GM for today, decides, hey, we're going to add to this wide receiver room that was great last year, but decimated with injuries. Tank Dell, probably not going to play in 2025. Stephon Diggs, now on the Patriots. Now all you have left is Nico Collins. So adding another player like Matthew Golden, who has been climbing up draft boards as well. A really good pick here for the Texans. Austin, way to go, brother. Hell of a pick. Hell of a pick. All right. Coming in at number 26, Mr. Jackson Durham, who is simulating the Rams pick, comes in with Kelvin Banks, the guard out of Texas. Now, you were just talking about Kelvin Banks here, Mr. Jake Chipper. And again, a kid who's kind of slid. However, feels like he's a durable offensive lineman, can play both the tackle position and the guard position. I like him a little bit more at guard. I don't think he's got the speed and athleticism off the edge that I'm looking for in a left tackle. But with that being said, flip him inside to guard. You're looking at a certified starter on your offensive line for the next 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, like this pick here for the Rams. They could use help across the line. And someone who, I could have seen someone like Banks going a lot earlier than what he ended up going. So a good pick here, I think, would be a good pick on draft night for the Rams as well. And them picking at 26, we'll put the Baltimore Ravens on the clock at 27. Certainly a lot of directions they could go there.
Well, if something tells me that I have a feeling I know what Joey Peterson, our Ravens host, is going to go with. He's a Tennessee guy from the University of Tennessee. And after the whole Nico Iamaleava issues that have been going on the last couple of days, he needs a win. So he brings the hometown boy from Tennessee, Mr. James Pierce Jr. Again, another guy with character concerns. A lot of people have said he's not the nicest and not the easiest teammate to get along. But you can't deny that he's one of the most talented prospects in this year's draft. 6'5", 245 pounds, 7.5 sacks last year. He's lean, he's mean, he can get after the edge, he's fast. I love everything about James Pierce Jr. The talent. Is he going to be a headache in the locker room? That's the biggest question, and that's, in my opinion, why he slid so far in every single mock draft. Now on the clock, the Detroit Lions being simulated as we speak. I'm going to take a moment right here to pause and say cheers to you guys, whatever you're doing. If you're at work right now, we are at work right now having a blast simulating the NFL draft. So do me a favor, if you haven't hit the sub button already, hit subscribe. Super chat if you feel so inclined right now. We'll take some beers, cheers. We'll talk about your team after round one. If you send in a $5 super chat, I'll do an impression for a $10 super chat. And if you want us to get rowdy on a Thursday, $50 is going to get you that beer bong. And also, like the video. Do it for us. Get us to 50% like rate. We're at 160 people watching. That means we need to get to 80 likes. I said 70 before the end of round one. We're at 67. Who's going to be the 3 that gets us to our goal? Now down to 1 more. 68.
Come on.
Sorry, 2 more.
Come on.
Math isn't mathing today. Math is not mathing today. Couple more likes. That's all we need. There we go. 71. We got it. Bang. And that'll lead us to number 28. Walter Nolan. Nose tackle out of Ole Miss. The only true nose tackle, Chip, in this entire draft. One thing about Walter Nolan that a lot of people don't love, takes plays off. Kind of got that Chase Young effect where when he's on his game, there is not a singular player in this year's draft that can be as dominant at one position as him. Now, he doesn't put it in the full 100% every single play. So I think that's kind of where everybody has him sliding that far down. It just kind of seemed like he was so over his last college season, especially towards the end of the season. But with the only true nose tackle being over 300 pounds, as athletic and big as this kid is, I love the pick for the Lions. They need to beef up their defense like nobody's business, especially after that gruesome Aiden Hutchinson injury that we saw last year with that broken leg. They need all the help they can get on that defensive line. Walter Nolan coming in at 28.
Yeah, love the pick. I'm a big fan of Walter Nolan. Was hoping he would slide to 32 for me, picking with the Eagles. But if he can figure out some of that stuff, the work ethic concerns not taking plays off, like you said, I think could be a very, very good player for Detroit.
Wow. Some drama in the 7. Wait, what's the area code here?
Oh,
732, I think is what it is. Whatever it is, 731. Whatever our area code is, the Washington Commanders have shaken up the draft. And they said, Jaden Higgins, come on down. This is a kid that wasn't even supposed to be projected until the middle of round 2.
Yeah,
and they're being taken with the first round from the Washington Commanders. I will say this. They went out, they got Deebo Samuel, had an unbelievable free agency period. So this is not a bad pick in terms of what they need, which is one of those needs being wide receiver. I just don't know that you wanted to reach this high for this kid. I know everybody likes him, but why on earth did everybody have him as a middle of the second round pick and then have him slide up to this one? I mean, Jack Sperry must know something that we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, you just said it, what I was going to say. This is a very Jack Sperry pick once again. A player that a lot of draft nerds, not in a bad way, of course, but a lot of these draft analysts really do like when you dive deep into it. But going in the first round ahead of some of the guys that are still left on the board, again, like Michael Williams, Emeka Egbuka, another receiver that's still there on the board that I could very easily have seen going over Jaden Higgins. But look, if he ends up being as good as people are projecting him to be at his size with his speed and his production, another good addition there for Washington, but definitely a bit of a shakeup here in the first round.
Huge shakeup in the first round. The Buffalo Bills are on the clock after that insane pick over Egbuka. That's what I'm saying, Epic Jets. I think the same thing. That's insane. So, hey, crazy work, but it happens. The Buffalo Bills select, with their 30th overall pick, Trey Amos, cornerback out of Ole Miss. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I hate this pick. If Maxwell Hairston is still on the board, why on earth have you not chosen him? Dude ran a 4.29 at the combine, is an amazing zone coverage cornerback, and all you have to do is put on about 10 pounds, and he's, boom, Pro Bowler, year 1. This is crazy to me. You picked a guy that is a little bit stronger, I'll give it to you, and better against the run, but whew, I don't like Trey Amos nearly as much as I like Maxwell Hairston. Now, Hairston is coming off an injury, so maybe that's the kicker there, but Trey Amos by the Buffalo Bills, corner is a need for the Bills. I'll give it to him. So find B- pick for the position of need, but you could have gone Maxwell Hairston. Sorry, Tyler Smith. I might have to redact his GM card. That's, geez Louise. All right. Let's take a breath here. Let's just calm down because they're flying in. Everything is flying in right now. We're trying to react as fast as possible.
Yeah, they are flying in right now.
Subscribe if you haven't. All right. Kansas City Chiefs are on the clock. They select Gray Zabel, North Dakota State offensive lineman. Another very versatile player, can play center, guard, and left tackle or any tackle position that you put on the field. I think he's played every single major offensive line position, including right guard. So I think he's played on every position. North Dakota State, they love their football. The Bison up there, they love their offensive line. I'll tell you what, I heard about Gray Zabel through the pipeline when I lived in Fargo a couple years back. They were like, there's this kid that's coming to play. And I think the year that I left Fargo, he was a freshman. And they were like, there's this freshman that we've got named Gray Zabel. Kid's going to be a first-round pick. And I was like, yeah, I'll wait to see it. Because the last first-round pick for North Dakota State was Trey Lance, and we all know how that turned out. I was wrong. Gray Zabel, unbelievable player. Think he's going to start at center for the Chiefs? No, actually, no. They already have a center. So they're going to kick him inside to either guard or left guard or right guard. Great pick to replace Joe Thuney, who was traded to the Bears.
And now I'm up on the clock picking for the Eagles at 32. And I hate to just keep doing this because with the Niners, I picked a guy that we had as the best available in Jalen Walker. So now for the Eagles here, I hate to just kind of go chalk per se, but look, Eagles have a big need at the edge spot. They have Nolan Smith. Starter right now on the opposite side, and they brought in some guys in free agency like a Josh Uche.
Mm-hmm.
Harrison. If that happens in real life, I'll gag with my pick. With Josh Uche, bringing in Azeez Ojulari, and they have right now Jalex Hunt projected to be the starter out there, but look, they lost some pieces on the defensive line. Milton Williams, they lost Josh Sweat. Why not keep the Georgia pipeline going, baby? Why
Chip,
not
you did not do it. You did it.
I'm picking Michael Williams, edge rusher out of Georgia. I was talking about how much I liked him earlier. I think this is a steal at 32 for the Philadelphia Eagles. If this happens in real life, I would love it, baby, because I think he is a very, very talented edge rusher who would just add to this defensive line that is the reason that they won the Super Bowl this past year.
Is this, like, at this point, can we just call it what it is, North Georgia? That's all we have to call Philadelphia now. Like, come on, man. Every single player on your defense, it looks like, is from Georgia. Now, I will say this. Scary defense last year in the Super Bowl. Down the stretch of the playoffs. Eagles defense, best in the league. Wasn't even close. If you guys were to get Michael Williams, I think that's why Harrison said he'd gag. It would just be unfair. There's no way that I don't see it happening in real life, just to throw it out there.
Neither do I.
But if it were to happen, you are getting a player that is not only super fast, super strong, crazy athletic, but joining an already insane defensive line. Chip, that is an excellent pick. I'll give you an A+ for it, although in your dreams, no way it ever happens. But Michael Williams to wrap out the first round of the 2025 Chat Sports mock draft.
Woo!
Okay, we have 6 minutes to recap.
Yes.
We have 6 minutes to relax. So how about we ask you guys about what you thought about that draft? Let's take a second here. Let's gather our bearings, breathe a little bit, and let's ask you guys. First question, what would you grade that first round one? So go ahead overall out of all the picks. Take it for what it's worth, surface level. What would you grade that first round pick, or that first round of the 2025 Chat Sports mock draft? I want to see it in the chat below. Give me a grade.
I think we did a pretty good job, man.
I'd give it a solid B. I'd give it a solid B. And we are already getting it already. B minus, B plus. Yeah, okay. These are pretty solid. Keep going. Epic Jets, thanks for giving a grade. Same thing with you, John. I'm going to call out you, Austin. You're a Chat Sports real one. I want to see your grade in here, brother. Same with you, Gatlin Gun. It's a B plus, says Austin.
Nice.
B plus. All right. How about a little sub counter? You want to do a little sub counter here?
Yeah, let's do
a little sub counter. Let's do a little sub. Let's see what we're at right now. We're going to try. I know we're very close to 406,000. So we got 132 people watching. Ooh, look how close we are.
No.
That's not good. All right. We're at 405,855. Is it possible that we get to 405,870? So let's try to get 15 subscribers here right now. Before we get up back at 205, that's 4 minutes away, I want to see as many subscribers in the next 4 minutes as possible. Ready, go.
Let's go, let's go. Come on, baby.
Click into it if you haven't already subscribed. If you have subscribed, type me in the chat below.
Where the real ones at?
Where the real ones at if you're already subscribed. Spam it in the chat. If you've already subscribed, spam me. If you haven't, subscribe. Because, listen, Jake Chipper's really good at his job. He will make this sub only. And, listen, if he does that, I got no control over it. So
I hold all the cards.
He does hold all the cards. There we go. Got everybody spamming me right now.
Look at that. We picked up a few subs right there.
Yeah, we did. Hey, 3 is great. Let's try to get up to 70. So 12 more. We got 3 left. That was an insane. I still can't believe pick 5. Tyler Warren shook everything up.
Yeah, that really changed things, man. I could have seen him, 14 of the Colts is a pretty common pick. And look, as a result, a team like the Panthers, I think this is where everything got shook up. You're right, because then the Panthers, who I think are a team that would usually be taking Jalen Walker, are able to land somebody like Mason Graham, who is like, wow, he's really there at 8. As a result, Jalen Walker slides. So then when I was up with the Niners, I'm like, man, this isn't a pick I'd really been thinking about a lot, but never really thought he'd be there. So then I take him, and then that you just see a result of people sliding down the board. And I think you even see that with guys like James Pierce falling, guys like Micah Williams falling, because these edge rushers started to drop down kind of one slot, if you think about it, with the edge rushers being taken there. So I think that just changes up really the entire board.
No tech issues. No. I will say this. We were just talking about it.
They gave me a steal at 32,
Head producer Mr. Sam Brown, who is always on our NFL Whip Around channel, he thinks it's crazy, too, that Tyler Warren went 5. That's insanity. Oh, that's insane work. But I love it. I love the craziness of it. The NFL draft might be the single-handedly, non-athletic sporting event in my entire, I love it.
Yeah,
because
it's great.
The craziest thing about it is that, we have no control over it. All we can do is offer our 2 cents and let the guys that we've dictated to run our teams make those picks for us. Now, guys like Howie Roseman, in Howie we trust.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But we have seen, for my team at least, the Chicago Bears have made some egregious selections in the NFL draft. So you've got teams like the Bears that are hit and miss, teams like the Eagles that are just unbelievable, and then teams like the Raiders who have statistically sucked at drafting. Their entire franchise time that they've been around. So I love the NFL draft. Chip, I know you love it as well.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned you being a Bears fan.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Bears here taking who did they select here in our mock
Mike
draft?
Green.
Mike Green. What do you think of the Mike Green pick there in Chicago? Obviously, some character concerns, although if you talk to people at Marshall and at Virginia, they'll tell you, he's a stand-up guy, a great dude, loves ball, and some of the allegations that he had, nothing ever actually really came out of those. So what do you think about him and, of course, his outstanding production?
Well, so I don't want to speculate about a potential legal battle. I'll leave that for the lawyers and the parties involved. I will say this. As a player, I didn't realize how much like Khalil Mack he was. I made a video about 2 weeks ago comparing the two. They have the exact same, and I'm not even joking when I say exact, both 6'3", both 251 pounds. Mike Green's a little faster, ran a faster 3-cone, and they both played in super weak conferences. Khalil Mack played in the MAC, and Marshall's in the American, I believe,
Yes.
if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So both played in weak conferences, both 6'3", both 251. Mike Green is like Khalil Mack 2.0, a sleeker version of him. They're basically saying, we loved Khalil Mack so much, we're going to take his son. It's Khalil Mack Jr.
I like that.
I love the pick.
Yeah.
I love the pick.
mean, look, he's the guy. I would have taken him. I would have taken him over Jalen Walker if he was there at 11 when I was picking for the Niners. I agree. I think he's going to be an absolute stud. I'm curious, too, with the Derek Carr situation coming out,
Sure.
the injury, not going to get into some of the speculation there.
Yep.
But most likely out for the season for the Saints. Probably not going to play for the Saints again. So right now they're rolling into next year with Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener at quarterback. So in this mock draft, Trace goes and selects Shedeur Sanders at number 9. Very controversial player.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on him going to New Orleans and just him as a draft prospect as a whole?
Well, first of all, shout out to Chat Sports. It's great for the company.
Absolutely.
It's great for the company. We're company men over here. But I will say this, from a football perspective, Kellen Moore coming in, that's like the best case scenario, is like, as a new coach, you want a quarterback, especially in 2025, that you can mold, influence, and put in your ideas, start from scratch and say, look, here's how we're going to attack year one, and then here's the 5-year plan for us that can lead us back to the Super Bowl. They have not had a big name like Shedeur Sanders since Drew Brees at quarterback. So for Saints fans, you got to be thinking Shedorlands is a nonstop party, brother. Mardi Gras all day long, every single month. I love it from a company perspective, from a football perspective. I like it. I like it for the Saints. I don't necessarily know that all football fans are going to be like, oh, shit. You know what I mean? Like, the Saints are deadly now. It's going to be, it's going to take some time.
Got a lot of other holes to fill out on that roster with Kellen Moore coming in there. Who made the best pick in round 1? Let us know in the comments section right now. We've been flashing the picks on the screen for you to recap that first round as we get ready for the start of the second round. Who made the best pick? Who was it? What team? What player?
I'll tell you right now who it was. It's not even the Bears. 14, Colts taking Jihad Campbell to pair with Zaire Franklin. Both guys going to be over 100 tackle players. Dude, that is a deadly linebacker duo right there of Jihad Campbell and Zaire Franklin. Love that pick. I'm going to give that an A+ for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, he is a beast, man. He is a beast. Not the Broncos from Muhammad. Amari and Hampton going there. I think that's a great pick for Denver and a very common
Not the Broncos
pick as well. I think it's a good pick for Denver. I know a lot of people don't love, running back round 1 unless you're a generational, like truly high-end type of guy like an Ashton Genty, but I think Hampton is also a difference maker at that running back spot, and that's kind of what the Broncos are missing right now. Almost all they're missing is at that running back position, and granted, could you wait, still get a really good player in a later round? Sure.
Yep.
But I think there's a clear gap between those two and then the next best running backs on the board.
100%. All right. Round 2 underway. The Cleveland Browns are on the clock. The pick is in.
Speaking of running backs.
Speaking of running backs, Caleb Johnson, running back, Iowa, heads to Cleveland. Nick Chubb, no longer the same player that he was. You cannot go into 2025, Cleveland Browns fans, with Jerome Ford as your RB1. Caleb Johnson comes in, highly touted, third-ranked running back overall by all the analysts. He's got the speed, got the size, got the hands. He's got everything that you're looking for, just not named Ashton Genty and Amari and Hampton. Love this pick for the Browns. They get their solidified, running back number 1, and now are kind of reframing the woodwork of their organization, taking Travis Hunter with the 2nd overall pick, and now Caleb Johnson. So offense seems to be something that they are prioritizing, especially while they're under that god-awful Deshaun Watson contract. So love this pick, Caleb Johnson. Welcome to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, look, another pick that I'd like for the Browns, a good player. We're talking about running backs now. On our draft expert, Tom Downey's big board, he is number 64 overall, so a far cry from 33. Where he was selected at 33. And, the more that I think about it, it's like Browns do still have a lot of other needs. So I get you need a running back, and I get Caleb Johnson's very good. I might have gone in a different direction. Although this is, when you pick someone like Travis Hunter, though, in the first round, kind of fills two needs there at receiver and corner. So if you do plan to play him both ways, that is the advantage of taking Travis Hunter. That kind of eliminates the need to take either of those guys again in the second round. So maybe that affords you the luxury to take a talented player who I think is better than the 64th player in this class, pure talent-wise. Obviously, when you factor in positional...
Correct.
What's the word I'm looking for? Value, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I think he is a good player there for Matthew Peterson, who Epic Jet says, Matthew P. has failed us. Oh,
Matthew
no!
P. has failed us.
Trust the process.
All right. The Giants are on the clock. Wow. Great pick by the Giants
I
here.
agree.
At 34, Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State. And if it not for Jeremiah Smith, the unbelievable freshman who might be a first overall pick in the next coming couple of years there, Mr. Jake Chipper, Emeka Egbuka was the number one wide receiver on this national championship winning Ohio State team. He's awesome over the field. He can go up and make contested catches. He's silky smooth with his route running. He can block. He can thrive as a number two, but he could be a little bit more than that. He could be a number one for a team that is needy for a receiver. Malik Neighbors is your number one in New York. You don't have to worry about being the number one there. This could be the best rookie wide receiver number two, maybe ever, if he goes to the Giants. Love this pick for the New York Football Giants. Go Big Blue! And Marshall Green acting GM today. All right, coming in. This one scratching my head a little bit. Kyle Williams, wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans, coming in at 35. Now, I'm going to say this about Kyle Williams. A lot of people, Phil Simms, have said that he is the second overall wide receiver on everybody's board. I never saw it. I went back and watched the tape, Chip, and I said, I got to see what everybody's talking about. I didn't see it. I thought he was okay. I didn't think that there was anything wrong with his play, but I wasn't overly impressed. I mean, he's good at vertical separation like any normal receiver. He's got good hands like normal receivers, but he didn't do anything outstanding. He wouldn't break off the line quicker than any receiver I've ever seen. He didn't get that much separation in his vertical routes. And he didn't go up and moss anybody with those amazing hands like a D-Hop or a Jamar Chase would. So I just saw him and I was like, good. Is he worth the second round pick? Apparently for the Titans, he is. Question mark to me, but not my pick, not my horses, not my stable. All right, Jaguars coming in next. Great pick. Great pick. Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State for the Jaguars. The Jaguars might be winning this mock draft, Chip. I'm not lying to you. This might be, so far they're in first place. Tyler Warren coming in with their first round pick. Now Josh Simmons, 6'4", 317, Woo! Nimble on the outside. He's got big, strong upper body tendencies, so he can just ragdoll defenders. Again, that solid power that you're looking for. Flashes of rawness here and there where you're like, okay, he needs a little bit more skill development. But from a pure power and talent, raw talent perspective, Josh Simmons is unbelievable. Love this pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars, reattacking that offensive line for an abysmal last season with Trevor Lawrence at the helm, who isn't going anywhere after his most recent contract. I love this pick. Josh Simmons is a Jacksonville Jaguar.
Gotta agree with you. I think he's a player that, if it weren't for his knee injury, would be a first-round pick. Just a talented offensive lineman for a team that is in need of talent on the line. So to get him in round two, at the top of round two, like the pick here that was simulated here for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Love that too. Now the Raiders are officially on the clock. Coming in here in just a second, we will get the Mitchell Wren's pick.
I like this pick.
Wow. Tyler Booker, guard out of OG Alabama. I almost said Ohio State. Fixed it. Out of Alabama. My sleeper, or one of my sleepers in this year's draft. I love Tyler Booker. I think this is a great pick. I said it before. If you're looking for a player who is going to be a certified All-Pro for the next 10 years at guard, Tyler Booker is your guy. One of the biggest reasons that Jalen Milroe was able to have the success in the run game like he did was because of Tyler Booker. Now, I know everybody has questions about his athleticism. I don't need my guards to have incredible athleticism. I want my offensive tackles, right and left, to have the athleticism ability. I need pure brute strength on the guard position, and that's exactly what he provides. He's strong, got big upper body, he's got great legs, he stays low, pushes people back. Everything about him screams all-pro. Whatever team gets him, in this case the Raiders, they're looking at an all-pro guard for the next 10 years. Sleeper in the draft. Nobody's talking about him. I love Tyler Booker.
Love it. You said it perfectly. And to pair him up now, you went Genty in round 1. Get another guy that can clear up space for the running back you just picked in round 2. I mean, Mitchell Wright's killing it.
It's genius. It's genius. By the way, we are 4 picks away, or 4 picks. That's my GM brain. 4 likes away from hitting 100. Let's do it right now.
Come on.
Let's do it right now. 3 away. 3 more likes. We need to get to 100 before the end of this stream. It's unacceptable.
Let's go. Hey, look, the Patriots pick is in. If y'all want to see the Patriots picked and keep going, we need those likes. We're 2 likes away, and then we can show you who the New England Patriots selected at number 38 overall.
Listen, he's taking control of the wheel. He is the captain now. I'm just along for the ride.
I'm taking control, baby.
He's taking control. We did get a $5 super chat from our boy Austin, who we will get on screen here in just a little bit. Hold your horses there, Mr. Austin. We're still 2 likes away. Can't give you the pick yet. 1 like away. 1 more like. 1 more like.
Let's go, baby.
It's 1 thumb. That's all you need. Bang. We just hit 103 like that. Easy. All right. You asked for it. We delivered. The New England Patriots select, out of left field, Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Somebody that all the office guys are talking about. They love Trey Harris. Now, again, one of those players where I thought, if you love him so much, where was the production that we was looking for? But when it comes to big playability, Trey Harris is your dynamite pick. This guy is ridiculous downfield. He's not going to be your stereotypical 85 reception guy. That's not his game. 50 receptions, but with the breakaway speed and playmaking ability to go up and make those catches at the point of attack is his game. I love it for the right pick. If you're adding him to be a wide receiver 3, this is a home run. Patriots bring in Stephon Diggs. Kendrick Bourne is still there as your number 2. This is a pretty solid option for the Patriots, though, at 3. I like the pick. Way to go, Allie Barefoot, host of Patriots Today.
There we go.
Trey Harris at number 38. All right, here we go. Number 39 is in for the Bears, right? We have the Bears?
Yes, it is in.
Oh, I love
Before
this
we get
pick,
to that
too.
real quick, shout out Austin Johnson with the $5 super chat.
I'm curious, where do you expect Donovan Jackson to fall to? You know what? Honestly, a lot of people have been simulating him to the Texans with that first round pick. I like where Chugs went with Matthew Golden. You were right, nail on the head. But I think, I think the Texans is probably something that, oh my goodness.
Woo!
That's all this dust in here. I think going to the Texans is something that would absolutely happen, especially to replace Laramie Tunsil. So love that. Thank you, Austin, for the $5 super chat. And that is a quick little cheers for you.
Cheers.
All right. Pick number 39 is in Josh Connerly Jr., offensive tackle out of Oregon. There is a world in which he is a better offensive tackle prospect than Will Campbell. He did not allow only allowed 1 sack in 2024. That's crazy. That is unbelievable production. He's huge. 6'4", 311 pounds. Great off the edge, like we always talk about. I'm a little bit worried, though, about his run blocking. It's not as high as I would have liked. I don't think that, if you're getting him, you're specifically drafting him to be a pass blocking tackle, not necessarily a run blocker. But with that being said, still an awesome prospect. Love him going to the Bears to replace Braxton Jones at left tackle. All right.
Bunch of picks flying in right now.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of them coming in really quickly. We got to go to 40 real quick. Yeah, there we go. Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU, not going home, staying home in Louisiana. The Saints desperately need a tight end. I think Juwan Johnson is their number one, and if that's the case in 2025, yikes. Mason Taylor, unbelievable blocking capabilities, got good enough hands. Not going to be a stud right away, but I think with the right development under a Kellen Moore, can turn into a really good, solid player. That's why the Saints take him with the 40th pick in round 2. Whew. I need a second to breathe. I need a Gatorade, Jack. It's going. We're having a lot of fun, but man, like I could just use like an extra 90 seconds. Yeah, well, yeah, we'll have time to correct. No, I get that. All right. No, that's true. Yeah, we would be here forever. Quinshon Judkins goes to the Bears, the part of the two-headed monster that was the running back class at Ohio State with him and TreVeyon Henderson. Love Quinshon Judkins. I like TreVeyon Henderson a little bit more than I like Judkins, but with that being said, both of them are like thunder and lightning. Judkins is a little bit more of the pass-catching back with that breakaway speed, whereas Henderson's traditionally your workhorse back. So this doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense to me because they already have somebody like that in Chicago, and that would be Mr. DeAndre Swift. So it's kind of like you're getting a second version of Swift. Don't love it. Don't hate it. I'll give it a solid C. Harrison Graham, I think, could do a little bit better. I trusted him with the Mike Green pick and with the Josh Connerly pick. That's a solid B+ as well. I don't love this pick as much. C minus.
Yeah, definitely an interesting pick. A talented player, no doubt. But few other directions I think they could have gone. We're seeing a lot of running backs kind of go here now.
Yeah.
Early in these first 40-ish picks. And we have a couple more picks now flying in here as the second round keeps moving on. Starting with the New York Jets here at number 42.
Yes, they did. TJ Sanders. I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen much about this guy. Do you have any intel on Mr. TJ Sanders there?
We got
Mr.
some
Jake
intel
Chipper?
from our draft expert, Mr. Tom Downey here.
Yeah. Let's see. Rotational player with early and upside of an impactful starter. Now, here's the reason I haven't seen him until round 4 or 5. So this is kind of a reach to me. However, I will say this. Do the Jets really need defense? I feel like their defense is great.
They could use one more defensive tackle, although I don't know if I would have gone defensive tackle this early. They could use someone to pair up next to Quinnen Williams, but I think they have other more pressing needs, at least at the 46th or 42nd overall pick in this draft.
John Rodriguez, one of our watchers right now, says that it's a W pick because he is a sleeper.
Maybe we're sleeping on him.
Maybe we are sleeping on him. I'm definitely sleeping on him. All right. Coming in, Mr. Jake Chipper, you are the 49ers GM today. What is your pick with number 43?
So I went Maxwell Hairston, the corner, out of Kentucky at 5'11", 183. Niners do need a lot of help on the trenches. We addressed a defensive line in the first round, going Jalen Walker on that edge, linebacker hybrid, and I wanted to go offensive line here, and I did see a player like Donovan Jackson, offensive tackle out of Ohio State, on the board, but the reason I wanted to go, and I did go here, with Maxwell Hairston is, one, obviously a great showing at the Combine, as you mentioned, and with the Niners situation, Bernardo Green drafted last year on the outside. They have Deommodore Lenoir, who plays very well in the slot, but stepped outside last year when Charvarius Ward was injured, and I really liked what I saw from him on the outside. And this defense was, frankly, for their standards, pretty atrocious last year. So I wanted to go someone who can be a playmaker in that secondary, and someone like Maxwell Hairston can step in, probably a slot guy, right, who I think you can throw in there and would just really solidify that corner room. I love the talent he is, and I think he just fits very well with the Niners here.
Well, you know how much I love Maxwell Hairston.
Yeah, you were talking about it.
My second favorite corner in this entire draft, one was Jahdae Barron, two was Maxwell Hairston. I love this pick. If you're the GM right now, if you and John Lynch are teaming up together, I'm giving you a huge raise. I think this is a great pick. A+ pick right here. Love Maxwell Hairston. 4.29 at the Combine. Unreal zone coverage skills. Has the ability to flip his hips and get up the field as quick as possible. Love this pick.
Niners win a ton of zone as well.
Oh, yeah. And see, that's even better. He'll fit right in. But now, it's not going to happen. He's going to be a first-round pick, which is, I think it's crazy he's fallen this far in this mock draft. But I'm, again, just Moose Goodell today. I don't make the picks. I just report them.
Just announcing them, baby.
All right, coming in at number 44, the Dallas Cowboys select Travion Henderson. Great pick. Javonte Williams, not Jamal Williams. Javonte Williams comes in free agency to Dallas, and Travion Henderson is exactly what they need. A playmaking workhorse back that can be kind of the A version of Javonte Williams. Love Travion Henderson as a prospect. Love him as a player. Again, you didn't see as much from him last year because of Quinshon Judkins. These two were splitting carries almost 50-50. So I think he needs the opportunity to show what he can actually do as a standalone back, and I think he would get that if he goes to Dallas. Great pick there by Mr. Tom Downey.
No surprise there. Tom Downey, our draft expert here.
Nick Scorton coming in at pick number 45, the edge out of Texas A&M. Now, again, another player that I watched a little bit of. I liked him more than I liked Shamar Stewart, but only 5 sacks. Both of those players didn't have as much production as you would have liked to have seen in 2024. Sure. Now, again, another player that, like, when he's on the field is a physical, demanding presence. He's got that power rush style, bully. Kind of reminds me of Lucas Van Ness, who plays for the Green Bay Packers now out of Iowa. So he plays bigger than his size, but he lacks that kind of technicality where I'm looking for him to develop a little bit more of a swim move and an underneath route move, because right now he just goes through players. And you can't do that at the NFL level. The guys are too big, too fast, and too strong. So decent pick here for the Colts. As a prospect, if you can develop him, it's a great pick. But for what you're getting right now, solid B-. The Falcons are on the clock now at number 45. It would really help if I started to memorize which team had each pick.
Oh, that's
you know what I mean?
Almost impossible.
Because I have to keep looking down and see who's on the clock right now. All right. I'm going to try and say this guy's name without butchering it. You ready?
Let's see.
JT Tuimoloau.
That's pretty accurate.
Is it pretty close?
I believe so. I think it's
Tuimoloau?
I believe that's right, yeah.
Okay, maybe I am correct. Anyway, edge rusher out of Ohio State. I wasn't as high on him a couple of weeks ago. I was talked into it by one Buffalo Bills fan. I went back and I rewatched the tape. I don't know what I was looking at. This kid's great. Another first-round talent, first-round production. Don't know why he's sliding all the way down to the second round. Maybe it's because the other edge defenders are just so good in this draft class. But if you look at his 2024 season stats, dude was unbelievable, right? 12 and a half sacks, 22 tackles for loss, 51 pressures, and 61 tackles. So it's not like he's just getting after the quarterback. This guy makes it happen all over the field. I love him as a prospect, and for a team that struggles to get after the quarterback like the Falcons do, dead last in getting to the quarterback in sacks, both last year and 2 years ago, this is a great pick. Great job there, Matthew Peterson, for the Falcons with JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State. Whew. Just feel like you need to take a breath here. Elick Ayomanor to the Cardinals. I've been doing my homework a little bit on Elick. It's tough to judge Stanford players because their quarterback play since Andrew Luck left has just been terrible. Now, out of the last couple of years, he's probably the most talented player that's kind of run through their system. But he didn't have a great 2024. And in 2023, he was good, not great. So I feel like this is a what if sort of situation for Mr. Elick Ayomanor. Now, with that being said, he's got good size, 6'2", he got about over 200 pounds. He's got the size that you're looking for. He's got the speed you're looking for. If they could develop him on the outside of Marvin Harrison Jr., why not? I think it's a pretty solid pick, and he would remain a Cardinal. Stanford Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals, kind of makes a lot of sense. So, good pick there by the Arizona Cardinals at 47. 48, Donovan Jackson, offensive tackle, Ohio State, to the Dolphins. Good pick here by Mr. Roloff. Again, Probably not the best offensive lineman on that Ohio State offensive line, but for what they produced last year, which is that national championship, this was a very solid pick. Every single one of these guys can play. Albeit Donovan Jackson, probably the lower end of this, played right tackle last year for the Ohio State Buckeyes. But a solid pick. Protect Tua, right? Like, he's a lefty, so you need a right tackle that can, dominate that side of the ball and that side of the edge. So I like Donovan Jackson as a pick. You probably, if you're looking to, everybody else is a left tackle, so I get this. If this is the first true right tackle that you're picking, this is actually a pretty solid pick by Mr. Roloff at number 48.
Yeah, a player I very much considered at number 43 for the Niners. I think this is a good range for him. Not a guy that I think is going to go first round, but once you start getting into the second round, some of the top guys go off the board. I think a pretty perfect spot and a good landing spot from as well. Miami seems to always need offensive linemen, so hopefully they can find one that sticks here in this scenario.
100%. Pick number 49 coming in for... No, I'm sorry. Is 49 the Bengals?
You are correct.
Okay.
49, Cincinnati.
Tylik Williams, another really underrated player. Another big body dude, 329. He's a big boy. You probably put him there at nose tackle is what you're probably going to end up doing. And again, defensively, they couldn't cover a paper bag last year. I mean, they were just awful on defense. Joe Burrow was throwing it felt like 45 times a game because every game they're down by 3 touchdowns. Now, addressing defense seems to be the perfect scenario here for the Cincinnati Bengals. Tylik Williams, very underrated player out of Ohio State. Didn't give you all of the greatest statistics in the world last year. But again, for stopping the run, perfect pick. Love it. Great job by the simulation there to pick Tylik Williams to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I like it. 2 good picks. I got Jahdae Barron over in the first round, Tylik Williams here in the second round. So building up that defense, absolutely what they need to be doing and should be focused on over there in Cincinnati.
Correct. And pick number 50, we have the Seattle Seahawks on the clock. Mr. Tyler Jones, who seems to be wanting to get done with this draft as fast as possible. He's lightning quick with the picks.
Flying the picks in.
Flying them in.
Let's see. First round, the Seahawks went. You thought they were going to go a line.
I thought they went. And they did.
They went Colston Loveland, but now here in the second round, they are going to be addressing that need.
Tate Ratledge, the guard from Georgia, another player that's kind of been. This is kind of right where he falls, right? Like this middle of the second round, a really solid guard, not as good as Tyler Booker, but got great hands and power to complement his game, which is what you need as a guard. Solid athleticism on tape, but he tested really well at the combine, which is why I feel like he backed up to the second round. I don't think his size is as much as I would have liked to have seen. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he needs to put on a little bit more weight. Needs a little bit more of that raw strength, that lower center of gravity to push defenders back. But with that being said, the Seahawks offensive line is dog water. I mean, it is just brutal. So this is a good pick. The fact that they are addressing it with at least some sort of offensive lineman is very, very good to see. All right, remember, our Super Chat menu looks like this today while the Denver Broncos are on the clock. $2 you send in, we'll get a beers cheers. $5 we'll talk about your team. And I'll do an impression for $10. In fact, if you send in a $10 Super Chat right now, I'll do the next pick in my impressions voiced or whatever impression I want to do, I'll make that pick. So you send in a $10 Super Chat, I'll make the next pick in that voice. And then, of course, if you want us to get rowdy today, $50 is a beer bong. Me and Jake Chipper are going to rip them right off the bat. So
let's get it cracking.
Let's get it cracking. I love that. He's got the good energy over here. Brings the good vibes. So this is our Super Chat menu. Remember, whatever you guys decide to donate is greatly appreciated. It helps us continually give you stuff like jerseys, swag, and all the cool stuff you love from Chat Sports. Denver. I've seen this a bunch of times. Good pick here from Matthew Peterson. Elijah Arroyo, tight end out of Miami. Actually played his youth football in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy
Did
to
not
think
know
about.
that.
Yeah, it's true. Played in Mexico for a long time. he's one of these players that, like, he's so athletic. He was able to, like, earn a college scholarship because the way they play in Mexico, he said, is very different than the way they play in the United States. With that being said, he was able to adapt very quickly and became Cam Ward's second target outside of Xavier Restrepo in Miami. So I love this pick for Bo Nix, who definitely needs a tight end. I'm going to give you a guess here. Who is the tight end one in Denver? I know the answer. I just want to see if you know it.
Well, they picked up Evan Engram, no? But
before Evan Engram, sorry.
But he's not, like, he's more receiver, really, than tight end anyways. Man, I mean, obviously Alberto's long gone.
I'll give you a hint. He led all Broncos tight ends last year with, get this, 285 yards.
Enlighten me.
Adam Troutman.
All right. Saints legend.
Yeah. Who? It's exactly my point. So getting a guy like Elijah Arroyo to pair outside of an Evan Engram, great pick. We did get a super chat, Dorito Man. I didn't forget to see you. I see you there. He's a Packers fan, so I don't know if I should necessarily read it. But we read all super chats, so I'll get it up on screen here in just a second for you. While the Seattle Seahawks are back on the clock.
Here we go, Dorito Man.
Dorito! Packers, I want them to draft Matthew Golden in the first round. I don't want that because don't do that because I'm a Bears fan, and it scares me a little bit because I like Matthew Golden a lot. But if you were to get him, it's a huge position of need, Dorito Man. Thank you so much for commenting, and we appreciate your super chat, my friend.
All right, couple picks now coming in at 52 and 53. We'll start with Seattle at 52.
Jared Wilson, center out of Georgia. Again, another Georgia offensive lineman. So back-to-back teammates going to Seattle for the Birds. Those, what are they called? The 12s up there in Seattle? Go 12s. So a little bit about Jared Wilson. Impressive athlete with the quickness and hands to do plenty at the center position, so he'll probably end up playing center. He held up pretty well in pass protection last year. He does need more reps on the offensive line, but I feel like that's a lot of different prospects in college, especially if you didn't start playing until your sophomore or junior season, where you necessarily don't have as many in-game reps. So maybe this is like a sit him for the first couple of weeks, let him watch and develop, and then slide him in week 5 or week 6 to take over the center position for Jared Wilson, going to the Seattle Seahawks. A very underrated pick right here for the simulation. I love this pick. Darius Alexander going to the Buccaneers. One of these players that you hear him kind of sneak up draft boards. You're like, who's this guy that everybody's talking about? Darius Alexander out of Toledo. That's why you've never heard of him. Who watches Toledo football games? But he's got unbelievable length and does a great job with his hands. He's a good pass rusher, and he's got productivity against the run. He is a little bit more of a late bloomer, so that's why I think a lot of people are like, where did he come from his senior year? Because junior year it wasn't there. But I'm hoping that translates into a big jump into the NFL, albeit if he doesn't start week 1, he can learn behind a pretty good Buccaneers defensive line. Oh, no. No. I don't even want to read it. The Green Bay Packers select Landon Jackson, somebody that I was hoping they wouldn't get because I love him as a prospect. And I'm a Bears fan, so this hurts to say, but Landon Jackson out of Arkansas, one of my sleeper picks also in this year's draft. He's going a little bit lower than I originally anticipated, but he's 6'6", 265 pounds. He's huge. He's got that rare, unique ability and combination of size, power, and length. He's got an unbelievable motor. Every single play, he gives 150%. Now, he doesn't have the best bend, so if you get a shifty offensive lineman, like an offensive tackle, it's going to have hard issues getting around him. But you move him inside a little bit and just kind of tell him to bulldoze his way through a left guard or a left tackle, that dude can do it. He's got every other move in the book. I love Landon Jackson. Dorito Man, you should love this pick if you're a Packers fan. Oh, those Green Bay Packers. Ugh.
Couple good picks.
Yeah, that is a good pick. That's a really good pick. I don't know why. I hate that I like it. Jack Betch, wow. Interesting pick here by Jim Harbaugh and the Los Angeles Chargers here. I'm not as high on Jack Betch or Beck as many people are. I thought he was okay. TCU didn't really have a great season last year, so they were kind of out of the limelight other than, that 2023 season where they went to the national championship game. I just kind of felt like, like he's solid, rotational wide receiver, going to add some quality depth to whatever room he's in. Learns behind Ladd McConkey, so that's somebody that I feel like, hey, they both can learn from each other. He can pick up on some different moves that McConkey's learned in his first year in the NFL. Solid pick here. Jack Beck, welcome to the Chargers.
Bills on the clock at 56.
Oh, I love this pick.
I'm a fan of this pick as well.
Woo! With the 56th pick, Xavier Watts goes to the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to get really animated for this, so I apologize to your eardrums in advance. Xavier Watts is going to be the best safety in the NFL in 3 years' time.
Whoa!
Mark it down. He is the best Notre Dame safety prospect I have ever seen, and yes, that includes Kyle Hamilton, who went in the first round a couple years ago to the Baltimore Ravens. Not only is he unbelievable in terms of how he plays, which is that center field style free safety, his athleticism is off the charts. He's a hard-hitting player. He can fill the linebacker role if you need to. He's a willing run defender, and he doesn't miss tackles. I don't care what that says. Notre Dame fighting Irish for life, baby. Xavier Watts, best defensive player on Notre Dame last year. Wasn't even close. I love this pick. The Buffalo Bills got a certified dog at safety.
Love it. Love it.
All right. You want to ring this next pick in here, Mr. Chipper? I'm going to take a little sip of my drink here.
Yes, sir. Round 2, number 57, Carolina is up, and they take Siobhan Revell Jr., the corner, out of East Carolina, ECU. I like this pick now. Another player, when we talk about guys who were injured, sliding on the board a little bit, had that ACL tear in the 2024 season, but was playing really well before that. A guy that I think would have been maybe not quite a first-round pick, but I think hovering right around there if it weren't for the injury. He's a guy who I like as well. And look, for our simulation here, to pick up Siobhan Revell at, number 57 overall. Our draft expert, Tom Downey, has him at number 34 overall. So a steal there for the Panthers. I like what they've done so far, going with Siobhan Revell Jr. to pair with J.C. Horn. And then they got Mason Graham in round 1. So really like what they've done, really bolstering this defensive side of the ball.
Well, and another thing about Siobhan Revell is that with that ACL injury that he had, prior to that ACL injury, people were considering him a round 1 talent. Like, this kid has got the size, the length that you're looking for in an NFL corner. He's built like one. He's got solid strength as well. But he got injured super early on in the season. So that kind of has, and it's an ACL injury. That's always scary.
Yes.
So I understand that the hesitancy to draft him, and I think this is a decent spot for him, middle to late round 2. But with that being said, J.C. Horn, Siobhan Revell Jr., tell me that's not an awesome young cornerback duo in Carolina.
That's disgusting. If they went this route, they get Mason Graham, they get Siobhan Revell. That is all of a sudden a very intriguing young team if Bryce Young can continue to build off what was a pretty successful year last season.
I thought so too. I thought he had a pretty decent year. Now it didn't start off well.
No.
But it continued and ended up being a pretty decent year. I give it a solid C+. So, Mr. Revell, in the first ever Chat Sports mock draft, you are a Panther. Ariante Ursary to the Texans. Now, Austin Johnson, he's a big Texans fan. He is going to love this pick. Every person that I have talked to about this kid from Minnesota, he is so high on everybody's board. And I love him too. He's got unbelievable ability to play that like power gap offensive lineman. But he's a little bit better on the move, actually. So on screen plays, if you're doing like a little halfback screen, he's got the athleticism to get down the field in a hurry. And those on-the-run blocking types, boy, when you get a 340-pound lineman coming at you and you get hit by one of them, it's like getting hit by a freight train. So I think this kid is going to have an excellent season. Great pick here for the Texans. Austin says, oh, that's a really good pick. I know you love it, my friend. So, Ariante Ursary to the Texans. Mark it down. It's another guy I really don't know how to say his name. Jonas Savanea?
I think it's Savainea.
Savainea. Man, these Polynesian players, their names get harder and harder to pronounce. Again, I haven't done as much of my homework on this guy as much as I would have liked. Again, because I had him going in the third round. I didn't have him as a second-round player. But with that being said, solid guard position here, and I feel like always having another run blocker for Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson can never hurt, right?
Absolutely.
You always want to make sure that your best assets on the field are covered, and this is exactly what you're doing, especially with Derrick Henry getting a little bit up there in age, losing a little bit of a burst of speed maybe this coming season after taking a bunch of hits last year. I like the pick. I'm going to say it's a solid B. All right. Round 2, pick 60. Brady Swinson, edge from LSU. This is one of the most loaded edge classes I think I've ever seen. Like, everybody's taking edge.
Yeah.
On the opposite end now of Aiden Hutchinson, Braden Swinson has that length that you're looking for. He uses it well. He's got some great moves. Pass rush isn't fully developed yet. He still kind of lacks that, power that you're looking for. Like, he's not going to be a bully sort of player. He's more of a finesse, fluid edge rusher. So maybe year one, as he's getting used to the strength in the NFL, he's going to have a little bit less production. But with that being said, if you can develop your skills as an edge rusher that can also double as a pass protector, now you're talking about a dual threat right there. I love this pick for the Lions, especially at the end of round 2. You don't have to be the bully. Aiden Hutchinson's the bully. So have the ability to stand on the outside, use your technique, and get to the quarterback. Kevin Winston Jr., safety from Penn State. I wasn't necessarily super high on him. I watched him play against Notre Dame last year, and again, one of those players that I'm like, yeah, okay, I could see why you'd pick him. Not my favorite pick here for the Washington Commanders. I feel like Jack Sperry is just kind of like testing the waters right now. I think that's what he's doing. Again, could they use the help on the back end? Sure, they absolutely could, and defense was one of their biggest issues last year. But at the same time, it's not the best pick. I don't love him as a prospect. I thought he was just okay. Mid at about everything that he did. He'll be a solid player in the NFL, but I feel like he's going to be a career journeyman. And that's just my opinion. You can feel free to disagree with me in the chat below, but solid pick here, Kevin Winston Jr. to Washington, but overall not my favorite.
All right, that leaves the Bills on the clock at 62. Taking a look here at some of our best available players. A couple guys I like. First of all, Jackson Dart really sliding here in this.
That's crazy.
Mock. There's talk that he won't get out of the first round. So the fact he is still here is pretty surprising. I like Benjamin Morrison a lot. I know, as a Notre Dame guy, what do you thoughts on Benjamin Morrison?
So another player like Savon Revel, who at the beginning of last year, so not even 2024, was a solidified first round talent. Had a hip injury halfway through the season. Missed the final 10 games, so you didn't see him at all. Now, hip injuries are scary because a cornerback's best ability outside of availability and being able to actually play is the ability when you're lined up against a wide receiver to flip your hips if they beat you off the line of scrimmage. Hip injuries, they kind of limit your mobility. So I'm a little nervous about that, but when it comes to the strength, the ball hawk skills, the hand-to-eye coordination, the ability to get it done in the run game, Ben Morrison has all the traits you're looking for.
Like it.
The biggest question mark right now is how is that hip going to hold up, and is that going to hinder his ability to get downfield?
Of course. All right, 62 is in here for Buffalo.
Alfred Collins, defensive tackle out of Texas. Love the pick. Big need for the Buffalo Bills, defensive tackle and corner. They addressed corner at the end of round 2. Now they go Alfred Collins to plug up that hole. Signed Joey Bosa in free agency. Also signed Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi, that's the name. Larry Ogunjobi from Pittsburgh to plug up those holes. They also have Ed Oliver. They've got A.J. Epinesa. They've got a stacked defensive line. This already adds to it. They have a clear mission. Beat the damn Chiefs. It can't be that hard. The Eagles blew them out. So I need to see this team, and I love the Buffalo Bills. They're my AFC team. I need the Buffalo Bills to lock down this position. It is a huge position of need. Defensive tackle, Alfred Collins, welcome to the Mafia.
63, the Chiefs going Jalen Noel.
Another player that, again, I'm not super high on. I think he's too slight for the position. 5'10", 194. I'd play him in the slot. That's about it. I don't see him as an X or a Y receiver. Now, that being said, if you have a very good wide receiver room already, could this be a nice little addition that, hey, he's a guy that can create space in the slot over the middle of the field on some good crossing routes, maybe a post route or a skinny post? Absolutely. I think it's a good, solid pick if you've already got a good wide receiver room. I don't think he's as high as a Jaden Higgins. I don't think he's as high as a Kyle Williams. I don't think he's as high as a Luther Burden III or Teteroa McMillan. I don't even have him in the second round, frankly. I have him as more of a mid-third to late third, but the Chiefs need all the help they can get at the wide receiver position, considering every single year it feels like they never have him. Rajee Rice got injured last year. Travis Kelce's getting older. Mahomes needs to throw the ball to somebody, and you got to go draft some wide receivers. So I understand the position of need here for Jalen Noel, but not the biggest fan. All right, Chip, to end out round two, before we get to your pick, like the video, Mr. Jake Chipper.
Yep, so
you're on the
on the board here at 64, closing out the second round. I did really want Alfred Collins. I was eyeing him up. Just keep going, building up that defensive line in there. But Smitty the Bills took him.
Yep.
So I pivoted, and I went along the trenches, but on the offensive side, I went Anthony Belton, offensive tackle out of NC State. Lane Johnson, getting up there in age. Eagles always looking, and Howie Roseman always looking to build up those trenches. And I like Anthony Belton here as a player. A lot of, tape and a lot of production on tape. A 3-year starter. Good size and great in the run game. And that's something you can build off of, especially with the Eagles. And another thing, the Eagles love to draft off athletic testing, and I like to draft off athletic testing as well for a lot of these linemen. And very solid athletic tester for his size. Has to work on his technique. But if I'm the Eagles, it's like you've shown the ability to develop offensive linemen with Jeff Stoutland, the best offensive line coach, in my opinion, in the NFL. So after going edge round one, certainly, safety was a position I could have gone. I would have loved to get Xavier Watts or Kevin Winston, but both those guys went off the board. So I was kind of deciding between him and Marcus Bow out of Purdue, but I like Belton. I think Marcus Bow out of Purdue is more of an interior guy. I think Anthony Belton can stick at tackle, and so that is where I wanted to go, and that will wrap up the second round of our mock draft.
It is the most Eagles thing I think I've ever seen, to take a guy off of pure athletic traits and just mold him into an absolute stud.
Right?
What you did with Mekhi Becton last year was nothing short of offensive genius. We're talking about a guy who was a bust after he got drafted. Nobody was high on this player. And then all of a sudden, the Eagles are like, we'll take him off your hands. And look, I'm not saying he was an absolute stud last year, but he completely revamped his career. So the Eagles, there are three things that are certain in life, and I should have this written down: death, taxes, and the Eagles having a good offensive line.
Always
every single year.
Cupboard.
Every single year, they've got a great offensive line. So who made the best pick in round two? If I have to go back and remember those, I got to go the Bills. Xavier Watts, come on. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I love him so much. He's one of my favorite players, not only because I'm just an Irish fan, but watching him, I got to watch him play every game last year. And there wasn't one thing I think he did incorrectly. It's just he plays safety. And it's the least important position now in the entire NFL. You could go find a safety anywhere. So I think if this was maybe 10 years ago, he'd be a first-round pick For sure. For sure.
I'll say I like the Josh Connerly pick for the Chicago Bears at number 39, a guy that I was strongly considering for the Eagles at number 32. So I like that pick a lot. I like the Emeka Egbuka pick, even though it was very early in the second round for the New York Giants as well. So let us know. As you can see, we're flashing through some of these picks here at the top of your screen for a little bit of a refresher.
Yeah.
Let us know who you think made the best pick in round 2. I think I made a couple solid selections with Maxwell Harrison going to the Niners at number 43, and then I like Anthony Belton going to the Eagles as well.
Yeah, your pick with Maxwell Harrison is an A+. A+. Because there's no way in the actual draft. I mean, we're talking about a kid that's been mocked between 21 and 30 every single time. There's no way he falls to 43. But if he were to ever fall to 43 and you guys take him, steal the draft.
Had to scoop him up.
Had to scoop him up, for sure. So let us know what you think. I'm going to answer some questions here before we actually get picked back up with number 65 with the Giants being on the clock. Dorito Man, what are your thoughts on Egbuka? Oh, they're asking each other in the chat. I thought they were asking me. Shit.
Can always steal the question from them.
Hey, by the way, we do have a mailbag coming up after the third round. So we've got one more round. We have a mailbag coming up. Use hashtag NFL to get your questions in. We're going to do a live cut, so you got to get to see how the sausage is made, and we will get into our mailbag cut right after this is in. John, I love that question. Use hashtag NFL. Same thing with you, Andy. Hashtag NFL. Love the question.
Get on the show, baby. Your chance to get involved and be a part of our program here at Chat Sports. It's all about y'all, you know what I'm saying? You guys make it run. So
it is all about them.
We love to hear from y'all.
Hashtag NFL at the beginning or the end of your question, and that will help us get us into our mailbag later on. But to answer your question, Andy, he said, if the Bills were playing the Bears, who would you legit root for? It's not even funny. Da Bears. Not even close. I love the Bills. They're my AFC team, but they're not my team. Chicago Bears are my team. Appreciate that, guys.
All right, and we're getting right into it, picking back up here in round 3, starting off with the New York Football Giants.
All right. The Giants select, one of Chip's favorites.
I like this pick.
Omar Norman Lott, defensive tackle out of Tennessee. Now, Chip, we can kind of tag team this one together because we both have some thoughts about him. I think, honestly, because I'd asked you the question earlier, James Pierce or Omar Norman Lott, you said James Pierce. I don't necessarily know that I would do that. I love Omar Norman Lott as a prospect. I really do. He's got that great athletic ability, that strong burst, plus he's a 3-tech player, which is what everybody is looking for, is a dominant 3-tech player. Like, can you get after the quarterback when you're playing pass coverage? If you're dropping 8 back in pass zone coverage, can you get to the quarterback and make his life a living hell? And he can do that. Every single defensive coordinator's wet dream is right here. Omar Norman Lott, think he's a great pick. That's an awesome, studly, outstanding pick for the New York Football Giants.
Yeah, I like the pick. Going to be a good pass rusher right away at that interior. Team it up with a loaded defensive line. You pair him up with Dexter Lawrence, with Brian Burns, with Kayvon Thibodeau. You took Abdul Carter earlier in the draft if you're the Giants. So really building something special there on that defensive line.
100%. Now the Chiefs in round 3. Joshua Farmer, defensive tackle out of Florida State. Another player that I have seen kind of climbing up some draft boards. He'll never, ever make it into the top 2 rounds, but a very solid player at Florida State after their abysmal last season where they won, 2 games?
Yeah.
Ugly stuff. He's got a high motor, got some great length, so one of these players that needs a little bit more time to develop. It's those athletic traits that Chip was talking about, right? Like if you can mold these athletes into technical players, you are looking at potential Pro Bowlers. Now, with that being said, he's super inconsistent. Watching his tape, I was like, Oh, dude, there are some plays when you're on it and you look like you're all over like what you're trying to accomplish, and then there's times where I'm like, what were you doing? Like, where was your head at on that play? So, again, under Spags, I think this is a fine play. Not a day one starter, most likely a halfway through the year starter with a rotational aspect throughout the year. All right, Ben Morrison to the Cleveland Browns. So now they've got Travis Hunter and Ben Morrison.
Interesting.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Love Ben Morrison. We talked about him a little bit like 5 minutes ago. Again, the only major concern that we have right now about Morrison is with that hip injury, is he able to get upfield and compete with the very fastest? Like, imagine Ben Morrison getting on Tyreek Hill. Is there anybody that's going to compete with Tyreek Hill? Probably not. But can you at least stay step for step through the first 10 to 15 yards and maybe bully him off the line a little bit? I don't see why not. The hip injury is concerning because as a cornerback, flipping the hips and getting upfield is the most important part of your game. That and, the ability to track the football, right? Those are the two biggest things a corner needs to be able to do. He's got all the other things we're looking for as a corner. It's the injury that is the most concerning because it was a really nasty one. Ben Morrison as a Cleveland Brown, him and Travis Hunter in this mock draft, crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, especially, look, ideally, I think that you play Travis Hunter more full-time at receiver, but if he is going both ways and you got those two guys out there, you still have Denzel Ward on the squad, it's a pretty nasty secondary, man.
100%. 100%. Now, I even forgot about Denzel Ward. That's crazy. Whew, that's a scary, scary defensive backfield. All right, another player that Mitchell Renz is killing this draft. Carson Schweisinger from UCLA. This is your Luke Kuechly. I'm telling you right now, this guy reminds me so much of Kuechly, it's not even funny. What is there not to like about this kid? He's got this tweener frame, which you're thinking, okay, well, he's not a bruising linebacker, but he's fast enough where he can compete on the edge and play outside, but he's got the coverage skills of a middle linebacker. He's got the brain knowledge and the NFL wherewithal to say, I know exactly where a player is going to be before he even knows he's going to be there. He understands defensive coverages better than almost any player in this draft. He's just not unbelievably athletic. You know what I mean? You would love to see this as a player that was a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger and a little bit faster. But he's cerebral. And that's exactly what you're looking for in your middle linebacker, especially because you could always put on size. The athleticism is something you can't really teach or, get better at. However, using your brain, it's a very underrated characteristic in the NFL, especially for the younger guys. So, love this pick for the Raiders. Carson Schweisinger to the Raiders, middle linebacker out of UCLA. I was waiting when we were going to see this guy's name.
Here he goes.
I was waiting. Go ahead, Chip, bring it in. I want you to ring this one in for us.
Round 3, number 69 overall. Nice. Cam Skattebo, running back, Arizona State, the do-it-all running back who shined down the stretch in the college football playoff, in the big moments. Heading to the New England Patriots. The production speaks for itself. Some questions athletically, although I think some of those might be a little bit overblown. In the third round, I like the pick.
This is so Bill Belichick, it's not even funny. He's not even there anymore. And this is so Bill Belichick, it's not funny. But like Chip said, this kid can do it all. I mean, the great utility back in this draft is Cam Skattebo. I mean, I quite mean this literally. He can pass the ball. He can throw. He's got this unbelievable field vision. He's just not a breakaway speed type of player. But do you really need him to be? Because let's be clear, you don't necessarily have to have 4.3 speed in order to create separation and find holes. You just have to be patient and understand the scheme. And he absolutely does. Look at his numbers from last year. This is insane. Again, if you had less than 300 carries and over 1,700 yards, you're a stud. 21 touchdowns, averaged almost 6 yards a carry. Insane pick. Love it to the Patriots. That's a hell of a pick, especially in the third round. This next one I hate. Might be my least favorite in the entire draft. This was simulated, by the way, so nobody actually made this pick. What the hell am I looking at? People were talking about this kid not even going in the 6th round. That he was a 7th-round pick.
Awful showing at his pro day.
It was terrible. I could beat this guy in a foot race. This dude, Xavier Restrepo, now, again, I'm not hating on the player, okay? It's clear that speed isn't everything. Route running, understanding separation, leveraging off of your defender, all of those things have to be taken into consideration. But with that being said, he's not a 3rd-round pick. Like, let me be very clear with that. He's not a 4th-round pick. Not a 5th-round pick. You'd be happy to grab him in the 6th or 7th. I've even seen some people say that he's undraftable. Like, he's going to be one of the first UDFAs picked up off the board. So, this is insane to me with a round 3 pick. I can't believe it. So, Jacksonville, you were crushing the draft. Not anymore. I'm sorry. Jalen Royals coming in. Depth piece here at receiver for the New Orleans Saints. Not a bad pick at all. Again, one of those players that a slot player after all the injuries that they saw last year in the wide receiver room to Raheed Shaheed, to Chris Olave. They are losing Taysom Hill, most likely. So adding all the weapons that they could possibly add, I think, is good for the Saints. And again, as we get to these 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks, most of these players are rotational pieces right off the bat. Some of them develop into studs, but not all of them. Majority of them are just like, okay, rotational pieces. On the clock is the Chicago Bears, Bears.
And Jackson Dart is still on the board here in the 3rd round. Not a lot of Jackson Dart fans here
at
in
Chat
the office.
Sports.
He's got to go in the 3rd round at some point. I would be very shocked if, just looking down the board here, man, what team would take him? I don't think he gets past the Steelers at number 83. Although we do know Tyler Sperry. Jack Sperry, big Tyler Shuck fan. So,
but he is a big Chuck fan. But where are the Steelers? Have the Steelers drafted in the 2nd round at all?
They did draft in the 2nd round. They took
Derek Harmon in the 1st.
Yeah, and then they took.
I don't know if they did.
No 2nd round pick, so their upcoming pick at number 83 overall will be their 2nd.
Oh,
pick.
I really hope that's a quarterback. You got to think it's either Tyler Shuck or Jackson Dart. You have to. All right. A little bit more about Jalen Royals. Again, oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the 3rd round pick, number 72. The Bears come in with Andrew Makuba, safety out of Texas. I have seen this mocked to the Bears before. Again, not a huge position of need right now other than because they have Jaquan Brisker. But he's also had some major injury issues. And I love Brisker as a player. He can't stay on the field. So this could be your immediate solution for, like, if Brisker goes down again, you have somebody that's at least capable. He's gotten better in the run support. He's comfortable at Texas playing as a deep threat rather than a box safety. And he's got high football IQ. That's all you're looking for in a backup rotational safety. Again, Brisker, much better in coverage, more aggressive, but that also leads to more injuries, and he's had concussion problems as well. So don't hate this for the Bears at all. I'll give this a solid B-. Absolutely. I can't believe this guy went as far as he did, too. Ray Thomas, this is a great pick. This is a fantastic pick for the Jets. I've seen Ray Thomas go into the 1st round in some of these drafts. So the fact that he flew all the way down to the 3rd round is insane work. This is an A-plus pick for the Jets. This dude is like cornerback 4 on most people's lists. He's got everything you're looking for. In fact, I have him higher than I do Ben Morrison. So he's not a ball hawk, right? Like, he didn't have a ton of interceptions last year, and that's not his game. He's more of a coverage corner rather than a Trayvon Diggs, jump the route, have 7 or 8 picks. So he's not going to give up as much in yards, but he's also not going to have the big play turnover that you're looking for. But I love Ray Thomas. I think he's a solid starter day one, so this is a great pick for the Jets. What? How do you say? Princely Umamamelian. Umanelmi. Oh, my God. And an anemone. I have seen Princely going earlier than this, but I've also seen him falling to right about this part. Again, the edge rushing class is so deep this year. I feel like every single edge that you're going to get is solid. You're not going to see any horrendous ones, right? Most of these guys are really solid edge rusher twos or rotational edge rushers outside of like the Abdul Carters and stuff. But it's one of the most loaded edge classes that I've ever seen. So, again, any team that takes an edge in the first 3 rounds, you're most likely getting a really good player. Love this pick for the Carolina Panthers. They might be slowly sliding up for me, Chip, as the leaders of this draft. Yeah, they're doing unbelievable. The mock simulator is crushing it.
Take a look at what they've done. They got Princely, Unman close.
Umamelian.
Here in the 3rd round. They took Siobhan Revel in the 2nd round, and they were able to grab Mason Graham in the 1st round. So a good draft here. And that puts the Niners, of course, I'm selecting for the Niners here on the clock at round 3, number 75 overall. I went 1st round, Jalen Walker. Then I went Maxwell Hairston 2nd round. So I like a lot what I've done, but I haven't addressed the offensive line yet, which is a major, major area of concern for the Niners.
Yep.
Ideally, I already addressed this position, but I'm not going to force it if the guys I like on the board are not there. And you see me talking about offensive line, 2 of our top 4 available players outside of Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe at quarterback, 2 offensive linemen, Marcus Bow and Emory Jones Jr. Marcus Bow took a top 30 visit with the San Francisco 49ers, and I like his game. So I think a good value selection here at number 75, and that is the direction I'm going to go for the 49ers.
Marcus Mbao. I love it. From Milwaukee, Wisconsin, from my neck of the woods. Love it. And, I've seen a lot of different comps for this guy. I've seen everything from Quentin Nelson to, much smaller guys that you would have never heard of before and everything in between. I think it is a good value pick for you guys. And again, beefing up the offensive line to protect what is probably your most important asset, but also your most fragile one at this point in Christian McCaffrey, you're going to have to pay Brock Purdy the bag. So making sure that you solidify that offensive line and give him as much time to sit back in the pocket and make those throws, all help is welcome. I like Marcus Mbao, the prospect. Think he's a good player here. Played mostly right tackle like you alluded to. But again, could slide inside to guard. Why not? Versatile player. Put him on your O-line. Love it. For the Dallas Cowboys, pick number 76, Noel Williams. Sorry, I have to adjust my mic here, guys. My mic is sliding down off my face. Cornerback out of California. Again, another player that I have seen. I always trust Tom Downey's ball knowledge because he stays up for hours doing this type of stuff. So he must see something that I don't. But with this being said, a bunch of the picks that I've seen where Noel Williams goes is like 5th round. So again, this might be something that Tom's going, we definitely need a corner, and he's one of the most underrated guys in the draft. So this is why I'm taking him in the 3rd round. But I don't like his game nearly as much as maybe Tom Downey does. I just didn't think that – he did have a very impressive 2024 campaign, 7 interceptions. But at the same time, he's the cornerback 10 in this draft, and only, 5 have been taken? So seems like kind of a reach to me. Again, Tom Downey knows all. We trust in Downey. So they take Noel Williams in this mock draft to the Cowboys. Pick number 77, Jordan Birch, again, edge rusher out of Oregon. Another player that – sliding under the radar, had a pretty good season in 2024. Everybody from Oregon last year, I felt like on that defensive side of the ball could play. They just had a really bad showing against Ohio State. So, again, bendy, off the edge, got decent size, lacks violence in the run game, though, so he's more of a just get after the quarterback type of player. Again, we're fine. All of these edge rushers, again, I'm just going to say it over and over again. It is one of the most loaded and deep edge rushing draft classes I have ever seen. So any one of these guys can add a nice rotational piece immediately on your defensive line. Do we have our next quarterback?
We do.
Let's go. Let's go. With the 78th pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss.
Wow.
Okay. Let's take a second here and just talk a little bit about it. There's no way this happens.
No.
Kyler Murray is under contract right now. So they're not going with a quarterback, at least until next year. But with that being said, I still think this is way too low for Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the good things about Jackson Dart. When it comes to playing on script, he's phenomenal. He's got that Brock Purdy feel, right? Like, if you know where the ball is going, on time, deliver it to one particular receiver, he is your man. Off script, different story. Now, in the Lane Kiffin offense at Ole Miss, it was primarily all scripted stuff because Lane Kiffin's an offensive genius. 69% completion percentage last year, 4,300 yards, 32 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. All of these numbers indicate to me he's going to be a really good NFL pro. But I really question his ability to make plays off script. Outside of the pocket, running around, can you make the hard throws when it counts? And I just don't think that's part of his game. Now, does that mean that if you were to start year one for a team like the Steelers, that you couldn't go out in and under a good coaching system, win 8 games? Absolutely not. But you're not going to see the huge performance from a guy like Jackson Dart as you would, I don't want to use Mahomes and Josh Allen because they're the best, but even like a Jordan Love off script. Like the ability to throw off your back foot and still connect. It's just not part of his game. So I'll give credit where credit's due. When it comes to doing the smart things, the right things, Dart is a good quarterback. Outside of that, mid.
I will say this now. As we look ahead to the Texans on the clock at round 3, number 79, Austin Johnson has been on it all day long.
Did he make another one correct?
I don't know if he has insider information. I don't know what's going on, but he said Milam to the Texans, maybe Shamar Turner. Well,
shut up.
What do you know? What do you know? Austin, what's going on?
This dude's 2 for 2 today.
Buy a lottery ticket. Buy me a lottery ticket.
Buy everybody in this chat sports office a lottery ticket. Austin Johnson, certified dog in the chat. Wyatt Milam, guard out of West Virginia, super underrated pick. Everybody that I have seen has him going in the second round. So the fact that he goes all the way down to the middle of the third, crazy work. Great pick for the Texans. I love his ability to play left tackle. Again, not one of these players that is like overly athletic. However, he does have really good run blocking ability, and he's got good pop in his hands. So he's not going to get beat initially when that edge defender is coming right off. If you got a really fast edge defender, his hands are equally as fast. The problem is if you get a rare combination of like a Micah Parsons where you get strength and speed, you're kind of cooked. But great run blocking ability, excellent ability to pop those hands like we said, can flip him inside to guard if you need to, but he also played left tackle at West Virginia. I think he's a versatile player. Love the pick for the Texans. Austin, dude, I'm telling you.
Insane.
Insane work. Insane work right now. All right, Demetrius Knight Jr. Again, a little bit high for this player. A lot of people have him going in the 4th. I had him actually mocked to the Bills in the 4th round. A good coverage linebacker, 6'1", 235 pounds. Can be a little bit stiff at times, not going to lie. Gets picked on in pass coverage, so he's not a great against covering the pass. But he does have pretty decent instincts against the run. He's a quality athlete, got good length, solid tackling. I don't see any problem with it for the Indianapolis Colts. All of these things that I'm talking about when it comes to like his ability to cover the middle of the field, all of those things are good. Now, that means you would have your 3 linebacking trio of Demetrius Knight, Jahad Campbell, and Zaire Franklin in Indianapolis. I'm going to go out on a limb. That might be the best linebacker room in the NFL.
Woo, with 2 rooks.
With 2 rooks. That's crazy work. So great job there. Another really good pick there by the Colts. Although, I will give it a B+, not an A, only because it's a little bit of a reach for a guy like Demetrius Knight.
I like this pick.
Ooh. Yeah. Jack Sawyer. Sounds like a character out of like Mark Twain's book, Tom Sawyer. Again, we saw what he did last year in the college football playoff. Stud. He ended his old roommate Quinn Ewers' career. Jack Sawyer, big hulking dude, scary looking motherfucker. multi-year starter who had some of his best games down the stretch in 2024. Not an elite athlete, doesn't need to be, though. He doesn't have the bend and the, off-the-edge speed you're looking for. But he's powerful. He understands the game. He's a willing run defender, and he's coachable. If you tell him, we're going to bolster you inside, put 15 pounds on you, you're going to become a defensive end and not get after the quarterback as much, he'd say, where do I sign? I am all about Jack Sawyer. Love him as a player, love him as a person, love him as a prospect. Last year was great out at Ohio State. Everybody loved him. He was a crowd favorite. Ohio Buckeye legend. Mr. Sawyer going to the Bengals. Again, Panthers-Bengals. 1-2 right now in this year's mock draft. It's insane.
And shout out, we actually do have someone judging for the Bengals. Our boy Stone over there in the Cincinnati office.
Is he? I thought it was simulated.
He is drafting for the Bengals.
Wow.
I do believe. Let me confirm.
Stone.
Let me confirm here. I thought he was.
No, I think you might be right.
Regardless.
No, you're absolutely correct because he's producing for Tom Downey. So he is making his picks.
For a team that has needed to upgrade this defense with Trey Hendrickson probably on the way out of Cincinnati to grab Jack Sawyer in the 3rd round, like that pick there. And that's about where he goes.
Yep.
Tyleek Williams in the 2nd round, number 49 overall. Love that pick on the interior of the defensive line.
Yeah.
And then to get Jahdae Barron at number 17. These are three starters in the first 3 rounds.
Not just starters.
On the defensive side of the ball.
Not just starters. A couple of those guys are studs.
Yeah.
Like
Barron is
high-end starters.
Barron is a stud. He'll be their best corner right away.
If you could have Joe Burrow, I'm going to go out on a limb right now. If this is how this plays out, which, let's be clear, it most likely won't, because we here at Chat Sports do things a little bit differently. If this were to play out and Joe Burrow could have a situation or a season like he did last year, back to the Super Bowl. Guaranteed. That's insane. Wait a minute. Hold on.
We do have a pick to get to before we get to that.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're good. We're a little bit behind. Bear with us here, but we are going to go through each and every pick, so we will get to it as it comes in. Not a good pick. And I'll tell you why. Every single mock draft I have seen Tez Johnson going to has had him as a 7th round or 6th round pick. Not once have I seen him go even higher than that. This is a reach beyond your wildest dreams. He's 154 pounds, Chip.
I weigh more than him, baby.
Yes,
I'm tiny.
Yes. I weigh 185. I'm 30 pounds heavier than me. Put me on screen real quick. I'm going to show you what this is. Check this out. I am 185 pounds. I weigh 30 pounds more than this guy. You mean to tell me that he's going to go up against a guy who's 260 pounds, full speed, and expect to live? Come on. Like, I know Devontae Smith was slender and everybody was talking about him. He's an unreal route runner.
Yeah.
Tez Johnson doesn't have that route running ability. He struggles in blocking because of those skinny arms. He's got zero physical frame. The only thing that I will give him is he learned how to use his size to his advantage and plays a really good swing game. So like a swing pass from a quarterback, he does really well in because he is fast. This is a terrible pick. L pick. One of the worst picks. Tyler Jones. I'm going to slack Tyler Jones and tell him that was brutal. Terrible pick. Tez Johnson goes to the Seahawks. All right.
Woo!
Big time stuff here.
Big time pick here for the Steelers.
No frickin' way.
I am shocked.
Jalen Milroe to the Steelers. Jack Sperry is on one today. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this. Jalen Milroe, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the 2024 season, Chip and to the viewing audience right now, I would have told you, there is no way he falls outside of the 1st round. He's got the size, the athleticism, the arm strength, and if Anthony Richardson could go number 4 overall, Jalen Milroe's a guaranteed lock to go top 10. And then he played his 2024 season and shit the bed. He was awful. And I say this in the most kind way possible. I don't give a shit about your rushing yards. You know who else had a ton of rushing yards in his college career? Justin Fields. He's on his 3rd team. You know who else had a ton of rushing yards in college? Johnny Manziel. He didn't even play in the NFL. So I don't give a shit about your rushing yards. Can you get it done from the pocket? The answer is no. He's too mechanical. And his mechanics aren't even that good. He throws stiff. Now, if you were to bring him in as a, what do you want to call this, Chip? A gadget, like a Taysom Hill style of player. 3rd down and 3. He is a great athlete. I'll give him that. Like, he's big, he's strong, he's fast. If you wanted to bring him in like a Taysom Hill on a 3rd and 3, run a little RPO to the right side, have him pick up easy first downs, he could be a crowd favorite in Pittsburgh. I could see those terrible towels waving like crazy. But the truth is, not a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL, period. Not even under the right development. And I think we've all seen Pittsburgh's tremendous ability to develop quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett would strongly disagree. Same with Russell Wilson. So I don't like this pick. But then again, I'm not sure that outside of like 3 teams in the NFL, I don't think I'd like it at all. So sorry, Jalen, just not your biggest fan. End rant. How'd I do?
That was sensational. And I have to agree with you. I'm not the biggest fan of Jalen Milroe. The Jalen Milroe truthers, we have some in the office, will say he's a great deep ball thrower, which in 2023, he was. But if he's such a great deep ball thrower, in 2024, this offense was really designed, outside of him, of course, running the ball all the time, with some great deep ball weapons. Mm-hmm. And he just wasn't all that great. There's so many areas he has to improve upon. As you mentioned, the Steelers just haven't really shown to be a great job of developing these guys. And I will say this, because our Steelers host is getting clowned a lot right now for this pick.
He is.
Not necessarily even because people hate the pick of Jalen Milroe here, but Jack Sperry, our Steelers host, and one of our lead NFL draft analysts, has a little bit of a spicy take with quarterbacks. He, in his pre-draft quarterback rankings, had Cam Ward number 1, Shedeur Sanders number 2. He had Tyler Shook at number 3. He had Milroe at number 5. So not sticking to his guns here and taking the guy that he thinks is better at number 83 overall. Not sure if he's scared of the hate he might get. But look, you go Milroe here, and I guess you hope you can develop him. But I don't know. I don't know if there's any Steelers fans in here. If there's any Steelers fans watching right now.
But let me ask you this. You're talking about development. Who's starting? It might be Mason Rudolph.
It probably will be Rudolph, yes.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm sorry. Sperry does his own thing. I love Sperry. I think Sperry's got tremendous ball knowledge. I hate this pick. Yeah. Tyler Shough was available.
Could have taken him, and he has
Kyle
him as a better quarterback.
McCord is available. Will Howard is available. Like, come on, bro. Not Jalen Milroe. All right. We have to move on because we could spend forever talking about that.
Yeah, got a bunch of picks. 5 picks that just came in that we got to run through real quickly here.
Because wow, that was so quick. All right,
yeah, a lot of sims.
We'll bust through the ones that we don't have hosts for. So Kyle Kennard comes out of the edge of South Carolina. I totally get this pick, adding to an already pretty good defensive line for the Buccaneers. Solid player, not going to start day one. Next, coming in, Ty Hamilton, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. Again, Denver doesn't really need a ton of help on the defensive side of the football. They were the number one defense ranked in the NFL last year up until the playoffs. They were sensational, ranked number 1 in sacks. I think it's a great pick for the Denver Broncos to add just a little bit more of that depth. Ty Hamilton, an underrated player in my opinion. He does need work as a pass rusher, but outside of that, he's a pretty overall solid prospect. Then coming in for the Chargers. I keep wanting to say, I don't know why I look at them and I want to say the Bolts. Because of bolt up. But Josiah Stewart, edge out of Michigan. I think our boss, James Yoder, could tell you some good things about him. I couldn't tell you much about him. I haven't done my homework on him that much. So let's just move on to the Green Bay Packers. Oluwafemi Oladejo. I think that's how you pronounce it.
A lot of people just call him Olu.
Olu, there we go. I love that. Olu it is. Again, another player on that UCL defense, complimented over on the other side of Carson Schweisinger. Not my favorite player. Got some good traits. It's a draft and develop type of pick. He did have 14 tackles for loss, so he's a lot better against the run. But that 4.5 sacks in the Big Ten, just as they moved over to the Big Ten, it was clear that against better talent, he struggled severely. Darian Porter, cornerback out of Iowa. Fun fact about Darian Porter, he actually started his career as a wide receiver.
Huh.
First 2 years was a wide receiver. Moved to corner his junior year, played I'm not joking, Chip, 3 games as a corner his junior year, and then was a starting corner his senior year at Iowa State. A lot of people are for what he has shown in the year and change that he's been a cornerback, he's been sensational. And I think that's because he started off as a wide receiver, so understanding the position on the opposite end of you, it's like yin and yang. So I think it's a really solid pick here for the Jaguars. They're back on my high list after that disgusting round 2 pick that they had where they took, who was it? Who did they reach for? Xavier Restrepo.
Yeah.
No, that was early round 3.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but still.
That was brutal. So you're back on my nice list. You were on my shit list for a second there, Jacksonville. But Darian Porter comes in at 88.
All right, and now 89 on the clock. Texans again. Can Austin Johnson once again predict this pick for the Texans? Austin Johnson says Shamar Turner or maybe a running back like Bashaw Tootin to the Texans here. The pick is in. Is he right again? Looking for Shamar Turner or a running back like Bashaw Tootin? The pick will be...
Oh, and that's where the good luck streak ends. But another really good pick here. Terrence Ferguson has been climbing up draft boards. The Broncos had their eye on Terrence Ferguson in the 3rd round for a long time. So I'll tell you this. For what you're getting from Terrence Ferguson, it is not an immediate tight end 1, straight out of the gates, Brock Bowers level of play. You know what I'm talking about? This is a guy that is a complement to your passing game. A player that will end up being like a Dalton Kincaid or Dawson Knox. Like one of those types of players. Good, but not great. Now, with that being said, could you always add a little extra piece there for C.J. Stroud, move him inside, have him block the majority of his rookie season, have him go out on a couple of passes? Sure, absolutely. I like this pick. Texans are killing it in this draft too, I think. Top 5 for sure. What do you think, Mr. Austin Johnson? We'll wait for his response here, but he's our Texans insider while Jeremy Chuggs is working on the Raiders report. Do we have another quarterback?
We have another quarterback coming up the board to the Rams at number 90 overall. Here it is.
Tyler Shough, quarterback out of Louisville. I'm not going to lie to you. I think this is great. This is an excellent pick by Mr. Jackson Durham, our only Rams fan in the office, and maybe the only Rams fan that actually exists still in humanity. Tyler Shough, one of those players that he's already 25 years old, so he's been in college football for ever. 7th year senior, and also at Louisville last year had his best season as a college football player. So could this be like a Bo Nix 2.0? Maybe not that high, but I think sit him behind a player like Matt Stafford, and when Stafford retires, put in the kid. Well, at that point, he'll be a grown adult. He'll be 30 by the time that happens. But I still think it's an excellent pick. Tyler Shough for the Rams coming in at pick 90. All right. Kobe Bryant. Kobe coming in at 91 for the Baltimore Ravens. Again, as we get closer and closer to the end of the 3rd round, a lot of rotational pieces here. Joey Peterson just made the pick over there while we were talking. And again, aggressive mentality. Outside corner in college, could find a position at nickel. I think that's probably better. Doesn't have the skills or the frame to develop really as a big-bodied outside cornerback 1. So move him inside to nickel and watch him go to work. I think this is actually one of those situations where you could probably start him day 1, but only at the right position. He's not a cornerback 1 on the X or the Y. You'd have to start him at nickel. All right, on the clock. The Seahawks.
Seattle, let's see.
Pardon me.
Here we are here now, deep into the 3rd round. Still some good players. Emory Jones out of LSU, DJ Giddens out of Kansas State, CJ West, defensive tackle, Indiana, Miles Frazier, another guard there out of LSU, so 2 LSU guards in the top 4. We got Quincy Riley, cornerback out of Louisville, Ozzie Trapillo, tackle out of Boston College, Jamari Caldwell, Oregon defensive tackle, and Oronde Gadsden II, tight end at Syracuse, as our top available players. Where will Tyler Jones go for the Seattle Seahawks? We'll find out here momentarily.
Yes, we will. Let's find out. And the pick is in. The Seattle Seahawks, pick number 92. They select Quincy Riley, cornerback out of Louisville. A lot of these cornerbacks are going because, again, depth pieces, right? Like, it's super, super easy to add depth. Like, the defensive depth in this draft is one of the deepest I've ever seen. Not only at edge, but at all positions. Like, there is so many solid defensive players in this year's draft. I'm on board with all these teams, like, adding more and more to their depth room and their depth chart, but none of these guys stand out to me. This guy does. The Saints, I love this pick. Savion Williams, wide receiver out of TCU. I call him Diet Cordell Patterson Jr., and I'll tell you why.
Nice.
He doesn't have the route running capabilities of a normal wide receiver. In fact, his route running sucks. Like, it's awful. But you don't play him as a wide receiver or a traditional one. You line him up in the backfield, and you watch him go to work. Give him 7 to 8 rushing attempts a day or a game. He's got great size and speed. And on a jet sweep, forget about it. Now, I'm not saying he can't catch because his hands are actually pretty decent, but against a NFL caliber cornerback, he's going to get cooked. Like, there's no chance he gets any separation. So I like this for the right role. You have to use him like you would use Cordell Patterson. Special teams, running back, 7 to 8 touches a game. That's it. Like the pick. Like the pick a lot. And also, kind of funny, Saints haven't gone defense once in this mock
all
draft.
offense.
Trizzy Trace said, I'm all offense. Points win, baby. Uh-oh. Another quarterback. QB watch. The Cleveland Browns select Kyle McCord, quarterback out of Syracuse. Led the entire NCAA in passing yards, 66% completion percentage, 34 touchdowns, and for how much he threw, only 12 picks. It's pretty good. Now, got beat out by Will Howard, so he had to transfer. But he played better in 2024 than he did at Ohio State. He's a solid passer. He does well and is better against pressure. His pre-snap ability has gotten better. He's learning how to make his progressions. This is a developmental quarterback in the works. Now, he doesn't have a great arm, and he's got to learn to protect the ball better because, let's be clear, 12 interceptions, while I said it's all right, you're not going to throw the ball, 45 times a game when he gets to the NFL. It's just not realistic. But I thought for the gunslinger mentality that he showed in 2024, I like this pick a lot. And who's your starting quarterback in Cleveland right now? Kenny Pickett. So you know all about the legend that is Morgan Wallen's younger brother.
Morgan Wallen's younger
Have
brother.
you ever seen them in the same room together?
I can't say I have.
They look identical.
Can't say I have. They do bear some resemblance. And Kenny Pickett, not good.
No, not good at all. So this would be like Pickett starts the first 4 games, and once the Cleveland Browns realize, oh my God, he sucks balls, we're going to go with Kyle McCord. So like this pick for the Cleveland Browns, Matthew Peterson, well done. And we'll move on to pick number 94.
Let's see.
Who do we got?
This will be 95 here.
Oh, 95, excuse me. Devin Neal, running back out of Kansas. We know Teej loves his Kansas guys. Yeah, with how deep this running back class is, I feel like you could have gone a lot better at this position. R.J. Harvey being one of them out of UCF is a far better talent, in my opinion, than Devin Neal. But with that being said, still a solid pick. And the Chiefs have learned that, wasn't Isaiah Pacheco a 7th-round pick? So they find talent in every round of the draft. So I'm not going to say that with Andy Reid's offense that a player like Neal can't shine right out of the back. I would have just gone with R.J. Harvey out of UCF. I'm high on him, but a lot of people don't have him going until like round 5 or round 6.
All right, that leaves me on the clock here. With the Eagles at number 96, I went edge, I went tackle. I would love to go safety. Not sure there's a safety here that I love.
Oh, I really hope you go with who I'm thinking of.
I could go the homer pick and just go R.J. Mickens, but I'm not going to do that. I think I'm between 2 guys Isaiah Bond's certainly intriguing. But I think I'm going to add to the cornerback room here.
Okay. Let's see what you got.
I think I'm going to add to the cornerback room here. Ooh, or do I just beef up that interior still?
Okay. I say you got to go corner. You got to go corner.
I'm going to stick to my original pick.
I know who you're picking. Oh, I know who you're picking.
Let me just confirm here. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Hold the phone. While you are watching, remember to like the video. We are 4 likes away from 150 likes. Let's get there. All right. Lock us in, Jake. Who do you have?
So, on the clock at number 96 in the 3rd round, after going Micah Williams in round 1, Anthony Belton round 2, I'm going to the secondary here. After losing Darius Slay, losing James Bradbury, losing Avonte Maddox, I'm adding to the cornerback room, which has a lot of young talent. Obviously, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, but outside of that, who's your third starter going to be? You have Keely Ringo, you're Bud and Adoree Jackson. You have Eli Ricks. But I'm going to add one more player here that I like in this draft to that cornerback room. I'm going to go Jacob Parrish, the corner out of Kansas State.
All right. I'm going to let you defend your pick, and then I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. So go ahead.
So here's why I went Jacob Parrish, right?
Yep.
Now, probably does fit best on the inside. Our draft expert Tom Downey, number 99 overall.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you have Cooper DeJean in there in the slot. Now, coming out, I thought there's a chance DeJean could thrive on the outside, and I still think there is. But with someone like Parrish here, willing tackler, doesn't miss tackles, still going to get better against the run, but ability to play man, ability to play zone. Eagles like to run a lot of zone in that Fangio system, but they are not afraid to mix it up and go man. When I was looking at the board here, a lot of the other players left. I could have gone offensive line again. I like Emory Jones. I really considered C.J. West at defensive tackle. I thought about going with a tight end here if Dallas Goedert does get traded, but I ended up going with a player who I think, honestly, in my opinion, should have gone a little bit earlier in the 3rd round. But I'm interested to hear what you got to say, Moose, about why you think I'm wrong here with this pick of Jacob Parrish.
So he was one of the guys that I had on the board for the Bills, and I went back and I started watching some of his highlights. And I was like, okay, like you said, good in the skill department, ability to play zone, can play man-to-man, good in press. But when a ball is caught on him, he can't tackle. He's brutal at it. Like, there were so many missed tackles that I saw in his low-light tape where I was like, that's a very stereotypical, like, plant your feet, move side to side with the offensive player, and then charge him. And he just, whiffed. Like, he wasn't even close. So, he's not a great tackler. But again, if you're specifically drafting him to be a player where, hey, he can come in and offer those coverage skills that you're looking for behind, like a Cooper DeJean, I think it's a fine pick. So,
there we go.
I'll take it, but I think you should have gone with a wide receiver.
That's fair. The only thing for me going receiver for the Eagles is you have your 2 studs, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't really utilize their 3rd receiver all that often. And I like Jahan Dotson. I'm not going to lie. I know people hate him. I like him. You got a couple young guys in Johnny Wilson and Nia Smith. Isaiah Bond could have been disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely could have been disgusting. But I think you needed to fill out that cornerback room a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of questions, bring in some more competition. Now you have a couple young guys that can compete with Kelee Ringo, who I do like a lot, with Eli Ricks, with Adoree Jackson, obviously the veteran in there. Now you bring in Parrish, and I think your corner room is pretty solidified.
You said it best yourself, my friend. All right, let's move on to pick number 97. Vernon Broughton, defensive tackle. Vikings seem to be going all defense in this draft, which is totally fine. I'm okay with that. Coming in at number 98, Shamar Turner, another defensive tackle out of Texas A&M. Again, an underwhelming defensive line last year that was touted to be one of the best in the SEC. Wasn't even close. So I'll take Shamar Turner as a potential run-stopping capability for the Miami Dolphins. Not going to be anything super special. Guard out of LSU comes in next. Miles Frazier to the Giants, who need as much help on the offensive line as they could possibly get. They address the quarterback position. Russell Wilson is going to be starting for them. Jameis Winston's your backup. Giants are getting better. I'll say this immediately. I don't think they're going to be good this year. They're not going to be awful. Not going to be one of the worst teams in the league. They will be a 5 or a 6 win team this year versus the 3 or 4 that they were last year. So they'll get better, but not that great. All right, coming in at number 100, the 49ers are on the clock.
Man, where do I go here? Where do I go here? I'm kind of tempted to take my George Kittle replacement.
Uh-oh.
I'm kind of tempted to take my George Kittle replacement. There are still some good tackles here. Oh, actually, I think I know my pick. Who have I picked so far?
For the 49ers,
I went Marcus
Jalen
Bow.
Walker.
Jalen Walker. I went corner in Max Willerson. I went Marcus Bow. I think I'm going to double dip in the O-line here.
Oh, I know. I hope you pick the one that I'm thinking of. He's been climbing draft boards, Chip.
I'm not taking a kicker.
We know how that worked out for the San Francisco 49ers. Jake.
I know who I'm
Booty. Buddy Bear, how many channels are participating in this? Almost all of them. I think we have 18 that are live right now, and I think we have, a total of 26 NFL channels? So, majority of them.
I sent it in. My pick is in.
Oh, no, you didn't go with the guy I thought.
Who'd you think I was going to go with?
Ozzie Trapillo.
Not where I went. Not where I went. I went with the small school guy who has been getting a little bit of buzz recently. We've been talking about him a lot on the Niners Report as well as on Eagles Now. He thought I was going to go with Trapillo as well. It was between those two for me. And I went with the guy who might be a little bit lower on our board, but somebody who might have been there, probably would have been there at 113. Of course, we're not going into the 4th round here, so who's to say? But my pick at number 100 overall for the San Francisco 49ers, going back to the offensive line.
Who is it?
There we go. Charles Grant, offensive tackle, William and Mary.
The ultimate boom or bust offensive lineman. But go ahead, defend your pick.
Niners coming into this draft, the trenches is where they need to build. Offensive line, defensive line. I went defensive line 1st round with Jalen Walker. I went offensive line 3rd round with Marcus Bow, who I project to play on the interior. Big hole at left guard. Now I bring in someone who can take over at right tackle. The Niners are very high still on who's that terrible right tackle for them? Colton McKivitz. They like him. I don't like him. So I would look for a long-term replacement. Plus, Trent Williams is getting up there in age. So I'm taking Charles Grant, the offensive tackle, out of William and Mary. Was very good at that level of competition and has plenty of starter experience. Now, again, against lesser competition. Fits well in a zone blocking scheme with his quickness and his length. Niners like to get their linemen out and moving on the move. Trent Williams does a lot of that, getting to that second level and bullying over guys. Now, still needs to add mass, find his hand usage, but here at the back end of the 3rd round, might be a little bit of a reach. Tom Downey has him as the number 121st overall player on our board. I took him at 100, but taking my guy. I know you really wanted me to take Ozzie Trapillo.
Mm-hmm.
I went Charles Grant.
Okay, so here's what I will say. The amount of people that showed up to Charles Grant's pro day, wicked. Like, a ton of NFL franchises showed up. Now, he played at William and Mary. So, we're talking about the lowest of the low levels of college football. With that being said, if you've got 20-plus NFL franchises showing up to your pro day, you're a stud at whatever level. I don't care what you know what I mean? Like, you are doing something right. So I think you're right. It's a replacement pick. ultimate boomer bust player. I like it. I'll defend you on it. I would have rather you have gone Ozzie Trapillo, but I understand the pick. Bolstering the offensive line. Solid B for you, Chip. Solid B.
All right, and now our final couple picks of the third round are in. That will conclude our mock draft. 101 and 102 to round out the third round. We'll start with 101, Los Angeles Rams.
Dorian Strong, cornerback out of Virginia Tech. Long player. Plays a lot like Cowboys, Travion Diggs. He's very, very aggressive, lots of experience, decent production. Not a great block shedder, but he definitely has a nose for the football. So I like this pick for again, developmental cornerback piece. And in the event that a cornerback goes down for you, if you're the Rams, for a guy that can come in and make an incredible play on the ball, he's a good pick. So like that Dorian Strong pick to the Rams. How about this? Jared Ivey coming in at 102 to wrap out that round 3 mock draft. Jared Ivey, again, slow player, not great athleticism, much stronger, more concrete, boots to the ground sort of guy, better against the run than he is against the pass. Not a horrible player. He's got big size, 6'5", 275 pounds. I would like to see him lose about 20 pounds. Play more of a hybrid speed type of linebacker role, but that's just me. He's an edge rusher out of Ole Miss. That concludes our 3-round mock draft. Yeah, you're fine. So I'm going to ask you guys this, everybody that is still joining us. 100 of you are watching right now. That's crazy. Who won this 3-round mock draft? I'm going to give you my answer right here. I'm going to tell you it was the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Bengals in this one, Stone Shields, our Bengals host, crushed this draft. Jahdae Barron in round 1. They got Jack Sawyer in round 3. Who they get in round 2? I forgot, it was another defensive player. Another really good defensive player. The Bengals crushed this. Addressed every single position of need. I'm staking my claim for the Bengals. But let me know who won this mock draft. Let me know in the comment section right now. Let's get it going. We're still having a good time here at Chat Sports. Still rocking and rolling with you all day long. You know what's up. Taylor says, super cool way to do the mock. I like this shit. Thanks, buddy. It's the first time we've ever done this. First time ever that we've done it. Andy, you're a real one. Panthers, Bills, Bengals. Panthers did great too. Bengals did good, and so did the Bills. That might be my favorite pick in this draft. Xavier Watts to the Bills was awesome. Super happy about this. Stick around. We are going to get our mailbag copy or mailbag cut into this. So here's what I want you to do. For those of you who are still watching with us right now, hashtag NFL, get your questions in. They could be any question about the NFL that you want. Jake's going to answer those questions when he comes back. He's going to plop them up on screen for me. I'm going to go through one by one. We're going to get into a mailbag copy. But you have to use hashtag NFL. You have to. So use hashtag NFL. Ask me some questions right now. I'm happy to get into it. Happy to roll along and give you guys the best answering ability that I have in this live video. I'm going to start calling out some people to throw some stuff in. Taylor, I want to see a question from you. Use hashtag NFL. Dorito Man, hashtag NFL. ABC Collects, hashtag NFL. Start getting those questions in, my guys. Start getting those questions in. Remember, use hashtag NFL. Do you just want to do me a favor and see how many we've got on the questions front?
Hashtag NFL, get those questions in. We're about to do a mailbag. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat. If you send in a Super Chat with a question, we will answer that question at the very start of the show. So you're guaranteed to get on the show. Let's
skip the line. Super easy.
How we're looking right now.
And if you Super Chat just $5, we'll talk about your team in depth. So go ahead. Send a $5 Super Chat, skip the line, and we'll be featured, or we'll feature you, I should say, on our mailbag episode coming out sometime later this weekend.
right, let's see here.
There we go, John. Way to go. Way to get it in. Way to get it in.
It's a great question.
I'm going to go grab some water real quick.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll see where we're at and we'll get started on it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, sweet.
All right, get those questions in, baby. Get on the show. Dorito Man to the Packers won the draft. Sorry, Moose. Landon Jackson is a dog. Taylor, super cool way to do a mock. I like this. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate that. We wanted to do something a little bit different. Something where we could all come together and simulate the draft, really. And I thought it went very, very well. A lot of good picks, some shockers in there as well, as there always is on draft night. But continue to get those questions in. Use that hashtag NFL within your question to get on the show. NFL draft's just a week away, man. So if you have a team you want to ask about, a prospect you want to ask about, just a general NFL question you want to ask about, get in the chat right now. Follow the lead of my man, John Rodriguez. We got some good questions from Renz, from Andy, Austin Johnson with a great question. John Rodriguez also asked a great question earlier about Xavier Restrepo we will answer. Andy with another one. Asking about James Bradbury. I do think he's toast, but we will let Moose get through that whole thing during our mailbag segment. As the man has returned.
I don't know if Mitch is in an argument right now with somebody out there, but he was fired up when I was out there. He was
On his stream?
No, he was outside of the studio. I don't know who he was talking to. Maybe I took it out of context. I'm not entirely sure, but it was. I was like, ooh, someone is heated.
Yikes.
All right. I could be wrong, though, again. All right. Are we good on...
Yeah, I think we got enough to make it work.
Do we? All right, cool. All right, again, hashtag NFL. We'll give you one more minute to get your questions in, and then we're going to start our mailbag cut. So you'll get to see how the sausage is made, as Mr. Matthew Peterson likes to say, our Browns, Broncos, and Falcons host. Let me pull this up real quick. A little insight as to how we make video here at Chat Sports. All right, that should be good. No, you're good. You are good. Hey, by the way, if you haven't liked the video or subscribed, make sure you hit that thumbs up and hit that sub button. Both are completely free, by the way. Did you know ESPN Plus charges you $120 a year? You know how much it costs here at Chat Sports? $0. Now, you could super chat, so that costs you money. But the sub button and the thumbs up button and the share button, completely free. Completely free. Okay. Gonna get ready to rock and roll here. Coming up in this mailbag, not only are we going to answer your questions, however, we are going to potentially get into who some sleeper picks are in the NFL. And I got to tell you, I got my eye on somebody. And he is a ridiculous prospect. Can't believe he's falling outside of the 4th round. It's insane to me. But that's all coming up. All right, let me turn off my phone here because my phone was buzzing like crazy. Production was going on. All right, there we go. Yeah. All right. So we just might want to wait till that's done. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. By the way, Super Chat items up for grabs right now. $2. We've got some beer that we can cheers for you if you send in a $2 Super Chat. $5 we'll get to talk about your team. $10, I'll do an impression for you. I'll give you one for free right now. I did this at the beginning. I'll do the Trump again. You know, frankly, I had so much fun doing all of the mock draft picks, okay? But I will tell you this, I did not like the Xavier Restrepo pick. No, I think he's really slow, okay? If Trump ever liked football, you know. Which I don't know if he does or not. So that'll be a $10. That's your only free one. And then a $50 one, we'll still get rowdy and we'll rock a beer bong for you right here with me and Jake Chipper. All right. Is he asking us if we want to do it at 4:15 or 4:30, or is he telling us that it'll be at 4:15 or 4:30?
I think he's telling us.
Okay.
I think he's telling us.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. Are we gonna wait? Are we doing the full 7, or is it just like is he sinking the full 7?
No, I think just the. I think just the first 3.
I thought it was 1, 2, and 3. So I don't know.
I'm not really sure what he's.
Okay.
All right. While we're waiting here to start our mailbag, who is your favorite prospect in the draft? Obviously, you have the guys at the top. Maybe somebody a little bit farther down the board that you have fallen in love with in this draft process. I don't want to hear, the Abdul Carter or the Travis Hunter. What about you, Moose? Someone maybe a little bit down the board in the first round who you're very, very high on.
So my favorite player in this draft is Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall. And I just think he's Khalil Mack 2.0. I think that he's got everything that you're looking for from an edge rusher's perspective. He's got the speed, strength, size, athleticism off the edge. The Bears need somebody like Mike Green, and that's who Harrison Graham took in our 3-round mock draft. But if I had to go a little bit further down, I love Maxwell Hairston, man. Yeah. I've been high on Hairston even since before the combine. Like I was saying, this kid's going to be unbelievable. Now, his last season at Kentucky, he got injured as well, so his production and his numbers his senior year kind of sucked. But he had I think it was a shoulder injury. I'm like 99% sure it was a shoulder injury. Upper body for sure. But runs a 4.29, excellent zone coverage skills, can flip his hips. He's good with ball skills, got a nose for it, understands route concepts. Everything about him is just, I love it. So those two guys in particular, whoever they end up on, they're getting a certified stud. How about you?
I like it. I'm a big Walter Nolan fan. I really am. I think at the NFL level, I think it's all going to work out. And I think whoever drafts him, and in our mock, I believe it was the Detroit Lions, landed him at 28. I think you're getting, honestly, a game wrecker kind of player in the interior. Someone who can really get after it, rushing the passer. I think he'll be able to hold his own against the run as well. Coming out of Ole Miss, I really like him as a prospect.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you're absolutely right. The only true nose tackle, by the way, in this year's draft as well. Like, that's his position. He's not one of those guys that you could flip to either side. Like, you're drafting him to play nose. And run stopping, specialty. 14 tackles for loss last year at Ole Miss. Take some plays off, but with what you said, I'm all over what you were talking about. Unbelievable in terms of talent, in terms of production, size, everything you're looking for in a prospect he has.
Let's see. John Arriga says Quinshawn Judkins. Dorito Man going right up your alley with Xavier Watts, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Johnson likes Emeka Egbuka. I think a guy that's been a little bit slept on, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Egbuka kind of got overshadowed by his younger brother, Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State, who, let's be real, in 2 years, he's going to be a top 5 pick. And it's not going to be close. Him and Ryan Williams from Alabama.
Special player.
Both of those players are going to be going in the top 5. You might see the very first number 1, number 2 overall pick in the draft be wide receivers in 2027. So that's crazy stuff. All right,
we're good to go.
I think we are good to go. Let's take a look here real quick. He said he's going to delete those rounds, and as soon as he deletes them, I think we jump right in. Thanks for bearing with us here, guys. Appreciate it for all 60 of you watching right now. We really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch us and hear about your favorite teams, your favorite players for this upcoming draft, which, by the way, starts next Thursday. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the show into our mailbag, which we will be starting here in just a moment. All right, let's rock. Starting up here in just a second, guys. Going to get to watch the full live recording of one of our episodes. So if you haven't used hashtag NFL or Super Chat yet, you could get on the show. Yes, sir. Yep, let's rock. Welcome in to NFL Daily here by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. And if you are just joining us in this mailbag edition of NFL Daily, it was right after our full live 3-round mock draft for the first time ever here at Chat Sports, where you guys were able to come on in and ask all of your questions during that draft. And we are going to get into those right away with our first question coming in just one moment. But first, make sure you like the video. It is completely free to do so. And, hey, it's like I said, not only is it free, but it helps us put more content like this on your feed. So all you got to do, hit that big thumbs up button and lock us in for more NFL content surrounding not only your favorite teams, but your favorite players. Coming in number 1 from John Rodriguez. His question says, which team should trade up in the first round if needed? It's funny you asked this question. So we've done a couple of videos here, not only on the NFL channel, but across Chat Sports about teams that need to trade up. Honestly, I don't think it's a great trade up draft. I think it's a trade down draft. But in the event that someone like the Jacksonville Jaguars takes Tyler Warren at 5, I think the Chicago Bears or maybe the New Orleans Saints could trade up and draft a player like Mason Graham to solidify their defensive line. I think it's, like I said, though, one of those situations where you probably want to draft back and trade down and gather more picks, simply because outside of the top 3 or 4 players, it's a really loaded depth draft class, but not necessarily a stud, star-powered draft class, if that makes sense. But, John, I really appreciate your question, and thank you so much for asking it. Coming in next from Andy. What are the main differences between the top 5 defensive tackles? What makes each of them stand out? So, Mason Graham is probably your most solid plug-and-play type of player. Walter Nolan is more of the traditional nose tackle that plugs the run the best. Derek Harmon, Kenneth Grant, those 2 guys are your solid interior players, guys that can get after the pass rusher and a 3 technique type of player. And I would say your 5th, I think you maybe want to call like a combo of Jalen Walker as an edge/defensive end. Most of those guys, though, are going to be guys that plug a specific type of the field and are good against the run that have also pass rushing capabilities. So I don't necessarily think you're looking at a player that can get after the quarterback the best or can stop the run the best, but they do a little bit of both of those things at an elite level. Austin, who's the most slept on running back in this year's draft class? A guy who is projected to be a day 3 pick, who could be a star. Thank you for asking this. R.J. Harvey out of UCF. This dude, certified stud. Everyone sleeps on him because he played at UCF and the talent that was around him wasn't that great and the talent he played against wasn't that great. R.J. Harvey has got all of the traits you're looking for. He's got the patience to find his hole. He's got the speed and the burst to get through that hole at an elite level. He's got good hands, not great hands, but good hands, and lateral quickness to make guys miss. So he's got the bag, he's got the speed, he's got the patience, he's got the vision. What more do you want from this guy? And by the way, his production, outstanding. At over 20 touchdowns last year at UCF. So I'm all in on R.J. Harvey. Think he's a beast from UCF. Take a look at this guy. Oh, gorgeous. Can't wait to see who he lands on. But for whatever reason, nobody likes him in the 4th or the 5th round. In fact, I've seen a lot of people saying he could go as far as the 6th. So thanks for asking your question, but it's R.J. Harvey for sure. John again. What do you think about Xavier Restrepo? Listen, combine numbers don't tell the whole story. Pro days don't mean everything. But with that being said, you have to be athletic enough to play the position. And although he had some production at Miami last year, his test numbers were awful. So I don't think he's a day 1 or day 2 pick. In fact, if he does go day 3, he's probably a 7th round pick. He's not going to be a number 1 or a number 2, and maybe not even a number 3. He'll probably end up being a really good 4 or a low-end 3 for a team. So, unfortunately, I'm not high on Xavier Restrepo, although I think the consensus that he can't play is probably a little bit, outlandish. I don't like that take at all. I just think he's going to be an NFL journeyman wide receiver who probably won't have the longest career. From Guy Dude, what's an under-the-radar pick in the 4th or the 5th round? Somebody that I didn't see being taken at all in our mock draft, Torrey Horton, wide receiver out of Colorado State. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Torrey Horton. I can't believe nobody's on top of this guy like they are. I think it's because it's a weak wide receiver class. Now, he got injured in 2024, so don't pay any attention to those 2024 stats. He got injured, and that's probably another reason why he's so low. Take a look at 2022 and 2023. 71 receptions, 96 receptions, over 1,100 yards, found the end zone both times with 8 in those respective years. He's a big play receiver. He's got excellent route running capabilities, silky smooth off the break. He's got great hands. He was a center fielder on his high school baseball team, so he understands those fluid leg movements that you would need to beat players off the line of scrimmage. I love Torrey Horton as a prospect. Truth be told, I think he could be a starting wide receiver 2 tomorrow in the NFL. But he played at Colorado State. He's coming off of an injury and is not a loaded wide receiver class. For those reasons, I think people are kind of sleeping on him. And speaking of sleepers, who's your sleeper in this year's draft? I'm going to say Torrey Horton. Another guy that I'm going to say is Tyler Booker. But who do you think is the sleeper of this year's draft? I'm going to make this the pinned comment of today's video. Make sure you go down and mark that down in the comment section below. I want to see as many replies to this comment as possible. Now, we're going to get to more questions here in just a second. But first, I have to tell you about our friends over at Game Time. Game Time makes getting tickets so much easier. Fast, easy, especially with playoff basketball going on. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA playoff tickets. Save up to 60% off by buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy events, and theater events. Download the Game Time app. Super easy. All you have to do, find the black box with the white G, and use code CHATSPORTS, that's CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. From Renz Major, what do you think the Commanders' biggest need is in the draft? Probably a corner. I've seen Ezra Thomas being mocked to them. I've seen Maxwell Harrison being mocked to them. They did a really good job in free agency addressing not only their offensive line, but their weapons problem. They got Deebo Samuel. There's a lot of things that they need, including an edge, but the truth is it's mostly on defense. So edge, safety, cornerback, maybe another wide receiver, maybe. I mean, if you just take a look at what their free agency consisted of. They've got 5 total picks, 2 in the top 100. You can go out and get a really solid cornerback one to pair. Who did they trade for? Marshawn Lattimore. That's the guy that they got in the trade deadline last year. So Marshawn Lattimore is now on the team. He's a really good corner as well. So a cornerback for sure. But if you're not going to go corner, safety or edge, maybe a guy like Nick Eamon-Wari or Donovan Ezaraku out of Boston College. John, will Jahad Campbell be a linebacker or an edge in the NFL? I'm so happy you asked this question, John. He can be both. He's got the skills to do both. Jahad Campbell is a stud. Middle of the linebacker ball skills, but also the ability to get after the quarterback at the edge. Why can't he be both? Why can't he be a hybrid style linebacker where you drop him back in pass coverage and he attacks and plays the middle of the field, but when you need to on third down and send an all-out blitz, send the house at him. Let him get after the quarterback. He's got the swim moves. He's got the ability off the edge, the size, the speed, the strength you're looking for. I don't know why more people aren't high about him right now. In our most recent mock draft, he went to the Colts, and I thought that was great to pair alongside Zaire Franklin. So I'm high on Jahad Campbell. I'm glad you are too. But I think to answer your question, it could absolutely 100% be both. Dorito Man. Who will TJ Watt be traded to? How much time do you got? Honestly, I've seen a lot of people say the Titans could go after him. The Bengals could go after him. I've even seen some for producer one on the 1-2s today, Chip. I've seen him go to the Phillies. Not the Phillies. The Eagles. I apologize. The Phillies. Yeah, he doesn't play baseball. But I think if I were to stake my claim in it right now, I'm going to go the Patriots. They're still number 1 in cap space in the NFL. They could use an edge defender like a TJ Watt, although their defense is actually still pretty good. I think that just adds the cherry on top of what is already a pretty delicious cake there in New England on the defensive side of the ball. So give me TJ Watt right now as it stands to the New England Patriots. This one comes from Andy. Is James Bradbury toast? I love that. Is he toast? Or does he still have gas left in the tank? He's still got some gas left in the tank. I know he's getting old up there, but the truth is he's a hell of a player. Yeah, I think he's got some juice left in the tank for sure. And look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. This is part of the NFL that I absolutely hate is watching good players get old and kind of take a dip. I'm not going to say he's the same player that he once was, but the truth is he's still got a little bit of gas left in the tank for sure. Staying on, Andy. When you see a 5th, 6th year senior, does that mean they redshirted for 2 years due to a season-ending injury? Not always. So it's been different, especially with the COVID years. They basically got a free year in COVID. So once 2020 hit, the NCAA said, hey, we recognize this is all wonky-dory. We'll give you an extra year. And the transfer portal also can extend your college career as well. So we are seeing players that are 7th-year seniors that are like, 25 years old? Tyler Shuck's one of them. I mean, these guys transfer. They go play somewhere else. They got that extra year of eligibility that they can play with. It's crazy to see what happens. So it's not always that they redshirted or that they got injured. Sometimes that is the case. But with the extra COVID year, that can also add that as well. So to answer your question, yes, but no, if that makes sense. All right, let me ask you this question. Who's your favorite prospect in this year's draft? Give me Mike Green on this one. I think Mike Green's my favorite prospect in this year's draft. I think he's going to be a stud for whatever team he lands on, but that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comment section down below. That's going to do it for us on today's episode of NFL Daily. Remember to get in the chat below, like the video, subscribe. It is completely free, and we will see you next time. Sweet. How'd you guys like it? How did you guys like it? True. All right. We will give you an extra, how about this? We'll give him 2 minutes, Chip. 2 minutes to get any extra super chats that you want to get in. Here's our super chat menu. Remember, you send in a super chat. It helps me show my bosses that I'm ready to take on the draft next week. It helps Chip put more money in his pocket. Helps us at Chat Sports give you more stuff to give away like jerseys, swag, etc. So all you got to do, send in a little super chat donation, a big thank you, and we will put you up on screen and talk about your team.
Yes, sir. Hey, big thanks to everybody who tuned in with us today to this live 3-round mock draft. It was an absolute blast. First time we've ever done something like this. And so to be able to go through all this with y'all for the first time, live, going through all the picks. We got Trace Moustakas up here.
Moustakas.
There was a lot of prospects picked in this mock draft, and you had analysis on all of them, baby.
I tried. And again, I can't study every single player. Like, it's just impossible. So every once in a while, there would be a player I'd be like, I haven't done my homework on him. I'm not going to lie. But for the most part, I feel like we did a pretty good job covering off all these prospects, especially you stepping in as the assistant GM today for both the Niners and the Eagles. It's crazy. I can't wait for next week, man.
I know.
Can't wait.
This type of thing just gets me so juiced up, so ready to go.
1 more minute to get those last-minute super chats in, and then we will take... There we go.
Austin!
See, that's why we do it. That's why we do it. That's a beers cheers for Mr. Austin Johnson. Dilly dilly. Get him up on screen here in just a second. Austin, you have been a real one today. Austin also got 2 picks correct today. He predicted 2 picks.
That was crazy.
In a row. It was nuts. There he is, Mr. Johnson. Who is the best slept-on quarterback in the NFL right now? Ooh, slept-on quarterback right now. Bo Nix. Bo Nix is a stud, man. A lot of people were like, he can't play outside of the rhythm, of Sean Payton's offense. But his ability to scramble outside of the pocket last year was sensational. He is so much more athletic than people give him credit for. Bo Nix is a top 10 quarterback. I'm not afraid to say that right now.
Top 10?
Now, he's closer. He's probably 9 or 10.
Yes.
But he's a top 10 quarterback, 100%.
I like that.
10 and 7 last year.
Yeah.
2 rookies have snuck their way into the top 10. Jaden Daniels is a top 6 quarterback. And Bo Nix is probably number 10. So I'm all aboard the Bo Nix train. But Mr. Austin Johnson, thank you so much for your super chat. We're going to ask one more time that you like the video. Help us get as many likes as we can on this stream before we take off. Gives you one more chance to get your last-minute super chat in. I'll give us a quick little 30-second countdown in my head. We're at 159. Let's make it 160. Hit that thumbs up button. Thank you, Mr. 1-2, Jake Chippa today on the buttons. Stepping in. It was originally supposed to be simulcasting on 49ers and Eagles Live, but so graciously stepped in to help me. Love it. All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. That's going to do it for us on today's episode of NFL Daily. Remember to like the video, subscribe, share it with a friend. Help us grow the channel and get to 406,000 subscribers. My name is Moose for Mr. Jake Chipper and everyone here at Chat Sports. Until next time, be cool.